And we are live.
All right, we are live, special edition Jewcast. Today, along with myself, Andrew Meyer, my co-host Alan Roberts up there, we have Owen Shroyer, we have the Misfit Patriot. We're going to be kicking off a very special debate. Before we get started and they introduce themselves, I'm just going to let everybody know where this came from. Laura Loomer tweeted, a lot of right-wingers, LARP is America first. If you watch their content, they're cheering for Iran. How can you call yourself America first if you cheer for a regime that chants death to America? Why can't these people just be honest and say they don't like Jews? Just say it. Why are people so afraid of being who they are? Just say it. That's Laura. Owen responded, cheering for peace is cheering for Iran. This is a false binary. It's dishonest and disingenuous. This is why Israel is losing support badly. Misfit Patriot said, you fucking retard, don't cheer for peace. You're just obsessed with Israel's demise, and you conveniently never criticize Israel's enemies. So yes, you absolute fucking clown. You're cheering for Iran by default due to your idiotic hatred for one of America's greatest allies. Owen then laid down the gauntlet, said, I challenge you to a debate on the issue. Misfit accepted, and here we are. So first, I want to give Owen and then Zach a chance to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to lay out the debate rules. So Owen Shroyer, for the people that don't know who you are, Tim Pool style, who are you, Owen Shroyer?
Thank you. Glad you could host this debate. Glad the Misfit Patriot and I could come to terms for this debate. Yeah, Owen Shroyer. I've been a political commentator, field reporter, talk show host since about 2012. I've been all over America covering politics. I've been working at InfoWars since 2016. I've hosted the InfoWars War Room since 2017. I have been through a lot for my politics, pretty much check off any box. Censored, swatted, sued, imprisoned, you name it. I've gone through it. And I do it all again because I love this country and I want to see a better America for everybody. And I think for tonight's conversation, it's also worth mentioning, I want to see a better world for everybody as well.
Awesome, Owen. Misfit, go ahead. Tell the world who you are, brother.
Yeah, very similar. Just political. I do political commentary, as a hobby. It's not my job, but I've also been, censored. I haven't been swatted, but I've had the police called on me. Just all the stuff that the left loves to do with cancel culture. And I too want to see a better world, which is why I think this is a good conversation for us to have.
Cool. And then for people that don't know, this is Jewcast, just so people can get the bias out of the way. Yes, I am a Jew. Alan, not a Jew. We have had Owen on the show before, and I'm famously I'm known for questioning Senator John Kerry, 2007. One of the questions I asked him was, why didn't he impeach Bush before he could take us to war with Iran? So those are some of my priors. Check out the show if you'd like the debate. We had Owen Benjamin on. Anyway, this is going to be great. I have a coin, an actual coin, so that we can figure out who's going to go first. Owen is going to be heads. Misfit, you're going to be tails. I'm going to flip it. I promise I flipped it fairly. Tails, we're going to give Misfit first. And then we're going to do it 3 minutes for an introduction, 2 minutes for a rebuttal, and then 1 minute final blast off. And then we're going to let them go without any moderation. I'm going to throw in some questions later, and we might even take questions from the audience. So 3 minutes as soon as you start, Zach.
Yeah. So Owen challenged me to a debate. I always accept debates for anybody that challenges me, as long as they're, I have a rule. If you're a real person, if you're not an anonymous account and you have a decent following, I will accept any debate. So that's why I'm here. And as far as what the debate topic is, I guess it's really the issue that he was referring to, where, talking about how if you want peace, then it doesn't mean you hate Jews. Now, I don't know Owen that well. I haven't watched his content. I don't know if he hates Jews. I don't think automatically that people who question Israel or question Iran hate Jews. I know he works at InfoWars. I know there are people that are, towing the line. I know they have people on there like Nick Fuentes, who I would say clearly has a bias towards Jews. But I think that a lot of people use their just asking questions to as a shield for their bias towards the Jewish people. Again, Not necessarily saying that is Owen, but based off of his response to Laura Loomer, it's the same talking points that I hear. So that's why I gave him that rebuttal. So I'm going to go through a few things in this debate. I just wrote down some notes, like, for instance, the threats to the U.S. from Iran, which there's plenty of. Khamenei, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Hope they took him out. There was rumors of that. His tweets calling America, the great Satan. I'm assuming Owen is probably going to jump in here with the talking point of Iraq versus Iran, where it's like, oh, it's just like Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction, even though it's not. And we're going to try to really drill down on why I think that America being in a partnership with Israel, taking on radical Islamic terrorism, and Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, is a good thing. Doesn't necessarily mean I think we should have boots on the ground, but I think that we need to do it because we need to send a message to the world that the old ways of appeasing terrorists, leaving money on tarmacs, and making deals are over. These people are fucking trying to infiltrate and take over every nation that they come into. And they do, I don't care what anybody says, want to see every man, woman, and child in America either converted to Sharia law or fucking killed. It's their doctrine. So that's my position. And I'm happy to get into that with Owen. And thank you for having me.
Cool. You had 18 seconds left. Owen, give me a sec to reset the timer. And I am crap at that. Go ahead, Owen.
Well, I'll take a brief moment here, and then I can really just respond to some of the things that he laid out. I think, generally speaking, our relationship with Israel has cost us foreign policy-wise. I think that it's more than fair for Americans to be critical of Israel, considering that we subsidize its entire existence. We subsidize its healthcare, its education, and its military with our tax dollars. And then on top of that, we provide additional military support as well. And if you look at our foreign policy for the last 30 years, you could even argue 40, it's been a disaster in the Middle East. And I think that that's mostly because of the influence of Israel over our foreign policy. Now, you could argue if this is just good intentions, the road to good intentions leading to hell, or you could argue that maybe Israel has something else going on with things like the Jeffrey Epstein client list, blackmailing our politicians, and of course, the influence of AIPAC over our Congress as well, which makes you wonder, if we do go to war with Iran, will Congress even vote for it? Will it matter? Will they say anything? Or will their AIPAC handlers tell them to shut up and let it happen? So I think it's time to re-examine our foreign policy. I think it's time for America to re-examine Israel's influence on our foreign policy. And I would say this is not opinion. This is just a matter of fact. And I don't know if anybody would disagree, but if you really care about Israel, or maybe more importantly, if you care about the people of Israel, then you have to realize that its current actions are putting them in a less safe position. And if you realize that America and its support of Israel is a necessity for Israel's existence, you must realize that in the current trend, in 10 to 20 years, there won't be any support of Israel. The boomers and the older generations that were propagandized into supporting Israel all this time, not to be morbid, but it's true, they'll be dead. And the younger generations, who now you could argue are probably anti-Semitic, some of them, they won't want any support of Israel. So if you care about Israel, Netanyahu is the regime change that you need. And if you care about Israel, then you better realize if you don't change tact soon, 10 to 20 years, there will be no support from the United States of America. And I'd hate to see what happens to Israel after that.
Okay. You had a minute left on the clock, but Zach, you can go ahead with your 2 minutes.
2 minutes to start what? Just
rebuttal, man.
Okay. So, one rebuttal on Owen's opening would be his statement that the U.S. that Israel controls America. I think he said through AIPAC. This is a talking point that I hear all the time. AIPAC, they're somewhere around number 20th in lobbying, or 20th in donations, 199th to 200th in lobbying. We have so many other PACs from so many other countries. And I never hear the actual logical argument on how they control Congress, right? It's just a theory. It's a conspiracy theory. But now I will also say, I say this every time I make this point, I think all PACs should be illegal. So I do think that Israel does have influence, but so does the National Association of Realtors, the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industry, all these places, right? And there's dozens of them, almost a dozen, 2 dozen before you get to Israel. We have AAPAC, right? The American Arab Political Action Committee. Nobody bitches about them. You have Qatar that, comes through our college institutions, donates hundreds of billions of dollars over the past 20 years. Nobody talks about how that is influencing the youth of America to create these Free Palestine protests. You'd have the influence of George Soros-funded organizations and NGOs that are literally destroying our country. It's the shit that we can see with our eyes, right? You can actually see these things on the streets. But you don't hear people, I don't know. I don't know if Owen's covered this, but you don't hear people like Owen outraged about the influence Qatar has over our country and how it's destroying our nation. You only hear about AIPAC. And AIPAC is a political action committee, right? A political action committee run by Americans. It's American Israelis. And yeah, they're going to have their interests in Israel, just like the Italian PAC has their interest in Italy.
Hang on to the rest of your thought there. We're going to let Owen go ahead with his 2 minutes. Go ahead when you're ready, Owen.
Yeah, so this is fun Israeli propaganda that he is falling for. What influence does Qatar have over the United States of America?
You want me to rebuttal? I mean, well,
I just want to know. I don't know what you're talking about. Where is the Qatari influence?
What's $200 billion in college institutions doing in our country from Qatar?
Okay. So you're telling me that Qatar donates to our colleges? What does Israel give to our colleges?
I'm not sure. I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Oh, wonderful. So you're telling me I could have a foreign country that actually gives me billions of dollars? I don't have to give billions of dollars to a foreign country? I kind of like that deal better. But that doesn't answer the question. Where is the influence?
Well, I mean, like I just said, if you use common sense and deductive reasoning, you could see that Qatar, an enemy of America, that chance
an enemy of America. You know, our most important air base is in Qatar.
Yeah,
you know, the base that we use to fuel Israel and deliver the military support is also in Qatar.
Yeah, you know where Bagram Air Base was? Yeah, we have bases in enemy territories. That's like the Tucker Carlson talking.
You realize that Qatar is a very strong ally of America, though. Like,
how are they a strong ally of America? They're the number one sponsor of Hamas. They're sponsored.
I thought it was Iran.
No. They're an Iranian proxy. No.
Oh, Qatar's an Iranian proxy. Yeah, they don't have their own money. They don't have their own oil money. They don't have their own leadership. That's just clowns. That's just a clown comment.
But I mean, hold on. Why do you think that Qatar is our ally?
Who put this Qatar thought in your head?
Well, I'm saying no. What evidence do you have that they are an ally?
What evidence do you have that they're not? I can play this game all day long. They are a very strong ally.
Hold on, they chant death to America
Qatar?
In that region. Qatari leadership has been outspoken against America.
You know they chant death to America in Seattle too? Should we bomb Seattle? They chant death to America in Austin, Texas. Should I bomb Austin too? Should I call Netanyahu to bomb Austin because somebody chants death to America? Where did the words hurt you?
So
okay, that was 2 minutes. Let's give Zach a full 1 minute to shut it down, and then Owen, you can have a minute, and then total free for all.
I love how Owen's debate tactic is a false equivalency off the rip. So in Seattle, if you have some liberal that chants death to America, it's the same thing as these literal radical Islamic terrorist organizations that are continually showing a pattern of behavior of animus towards this country. I mean, you just had a completely different radical terrorist group, but you had somebody in New Orleans that was in Texas that was radicalized, drive through New Orleans in January through a crowd of people with a fucking ISIS flag on the back of his car. I don't understand why you people don't take their words seriously. Like, where did their words hurt you? Their words hurt you when they create action. The fucking Jewish, the two Jewish, the Israeli ambassadors at the Jewish museum that were just shot a couple of weeks ago when some dickhead was screaming "Free Palestine," those words turned into actions, and that's when they hurt us on American soil. I have never seen somebody that's saying that they're supportive of Israel shooting up people in America or blowing up people in America or doing anything that hates America, because they don't chant death to America. They chant death. They chant America's our ally.
Go ahead, Owen, and then you guys can just have at it.
Cool.
Why do radical Islamists hate America? Let me ask you that.
I don't care.
Okay, so that just shows you how ignorant you are, that you don't want to search for answers. That's great. I'm glad you responded like that. You don't care. Thank you.
Team America. They hate us, correct? As long as they hate us, I don't care why.
Okay.
If they hate us,
so you don't care why. You don't want to reach root causes, and so that's why you lose debates. The reason why radical Islam hates us is because of our support for Israel. Israel gets away with everything in the Middle East, any regime change they want, any death spree murder count that they want, and they get away with it all because here comes Big Brother America to back them up. That's why they hate us. That's why they call us Big Satan. If we didn't back Israel and all of their wars and all of their death, then they wouldn't hate us. They'd have nothing to do with us.
So why do they hate Israel?
I just told you why they hate Israel.
No, you said why they hate America. They hate America for supporting Israel. Why do they hate Israel?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 50,000 dead Palestinians. That might be a good place to start. Maybe regime change all over the world. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. I mean, I can go on. Syria.
In the past 50 years, how many terrorist attacks have happened in the name of radical Islam worldwide? Do you want to? I don't think you know the answer. I'll just tell you. Over 66,000. How many happened by Jews or Israel? Less than 50. So I'm saying I don't understand how you don't see the threat.
You're making this about Jews. This isn't about Jews.
Well,
I corrected Israel and Iran's war and us being involved in it.
But I corrected. I said how many terrorist attacks have happened in the name of Israel, right? There's been under.
So are we debating Jews and Islam, or are we debating Iran and Israel's war and us being involved in it? I just want to try to figure this out.
Well, to get to the problem with Iran, you have to get to the, like you just said, get to the root cause, which is
now you care about
Islam.
Okay.
Radical Islam, right?
Okay.
Radical Islam. The people who chant death to America, the people that call us a great Satan, they hate Israel because they're Jews. And yeah, you're right. They hate us because we support Israel. And this is a 3,000-year-old holy war. Every single attack in that region that has happened since, I don't know, like 1948 has been started by the Arabs, not the Israelis, right? Since the Arab-Israeli war, every single attack has been started by the Arabs. So if they're starting wars constantly and they're saying that they're showing you a pattern of behavior that they want war, they want to settle their differences with death and destruction, and then they chant death to America. That's why I said I don't care why they hate us, because I know that they hate us and I know how they solve problems with people they hate. You know, and letting them enrich uranium to the point where they might have a nuclear weapon. A lot of people have this ignorant logical fallacy that they're not going to be able to fire a rocket from across the ocean at us. They don't need to. They can make a bomb, either put it with one of their cells that are already here or bring it over the border, and they can blow it up in one of our cities. So no, I don't want Iran to have a fucking nuclear weapon.
Okay, cool. Neither do I. Now notice everything you just said there has nothing to do with America. You mentioned a bunch of foreign countries on a foreign part of the earth that has nothing to do with America. I don't want to be involved in a 3,000-year-old holy war. I don't want to be involved with Iran. I don't want to be involved with any of these countries. That's the point. That's the problem. Our coupling to the Middle East, specifically through Israel, has been a disaster for us. It cost us $9 trillion minimum. Some estimates are $21 trillion, not to mention tens of thousands of American lives when we went into Afghanistan and we went into Iraq.
What did that have to do with Israel? What did Afghanistan have to do with Israel?
Oh, you mean that regime change is not what Netanyahu's been calling for since the 90s?
Well, hold on. What did that particular regime change have to do with Israel? Like Israel wasn't like at war.
Benjamin Netanyahu has been lobbying Congress since 1982 for every regime change in the Middle East that we've now seen. And now Iran is next on the list. He's also said Pakistan, which is a nuclear power. Okay. So good luck with that if you want to have peace. So yes, it has everything to do with Israel. Who attacked us on 9/11? It had nothing to do with Iraq. It had nothing to do with Afghanistan. These are Israeli regime wars.
It's like if you guys stubbed your toe, you'd blame Israel. I really don't understand. Like all right. So George Bush, by the way, the Iraq war was a fucking disaster. It was a clusterfuck, and George Bush should be fucking in prison for it. So you're not going to find any disagreement with me.
I know you're agreeing with me. Thank you.
No,
this is beautiful.
I will, because it's a completely different situation. You have George Bush, the corrupt cunt, who wanted to do a crazy, like, I guess, service to his homage to his father by lying and going in there and talking about weapons of mass destruction that weren't there and putting us into that region for 20 years, thousands dead. You're not going to find any argument with me. That's not what this.
Yeah, you just want to do it all again. Cool.
That's not, well, it's not the same thing, first of all.
Let's hope not. It will be. If we get involved boots on the ground, 100% it will be. Guaranteed.
Well, why would we even need to get involved with boots on the ground? That's
Israel's already asking for it. What are you talking about? Netanyahu's already asking us to get involved. He's already asking for bunker busters and everything. We're already sending ships over there.
Bunker busters aren't boots; they're bombs.
Okay, cool. Because that's how they'll view it. It's just our bombs, and then they won't want to target us. Nice logic.
I understand what you're saying, but look here: the Iraq War, right? This was a U.S.-led coalition of UK, Australia, and it had nothing to do with Israel, right?
That's true. That's right. Israel didn't go boots on the ground. It was all us. Israel didn't even help us. They didn't even have a single boot on the ground.
Well, hold on. But that was put together because Saddam Hussein was an evil cunt over there. And I think
here we go. So what?
Hold on. Again, right? But that war, right, was just an evil dictator that they wanted a regime change on. Right now, what we have is we have Khamenei, who's making threats to the United States. We have terror attacks already happening in the name of Islam in America, and we have tensions boiling up because they want to take out Western civilization. They like this is what I don't think that you guys understand. You have a September 10th mentality of this whole thing where you're just like, not my country, not my problem. And it takes a September 11th for people like you to wake up and go, fuck, maybe that guy Misfit was right and we should have paid more attention to it. I'm not saying that we need to go and all incursion, boots on the ground war. What I am saying is, I think America should give Israel the supplies they need to take out the nuclear facilities and take out the leadership.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying. And by the way, I don't even say when I said give, I should have rephrased that.
Let me ask you a basic question. Yeah, you've had a lot of time. Let me ask you a basic question. Do you think regime change in Iran will lead to peace?
I hope so, but I don't know.
You hope so?
Probably no.
Okay, and what does history tell us? What does history tell us?
Well, what common sense tells us is leaving well enough alone. With
I asked you what history tells us.
History tells us that regime change gets replaced by other bad regimes.
Okay, so we agree that it doesn't help.
Your solution.
So let me ask you this: Do you believe the official September 11th narrative?
I don't know, man. I think the fucking
you're basing your entire ideology and argument off of something you don't even know if you believe is true.
What do you mean?
Is that what you're telling me?
What do you mean by that? Because you're gonna jump to September 11th and Jeffrey Epstein. Was September 11th shady? Yes. Did Tower 7 blow up by itself? No. Did the Jews do it? Also no. Like, that's the thing. You guys will not accept any other answer.
You're the one that tried to pin my ideology on September 11th. No, and you're saying you don't even believe it.
It's an analogy for the
if I could step in for just a second. Owen's question was the same question that popped in my head when you said he has a September 10th mentality. Mm-hmm. Who do you think was responsible for September 11th?
It's fucking probably a combination of the CIA working with some shady people. So there's probably some truth to the conspiracy theories, but the notion that Israel and Mossad worked together and made Osama bin Laden do it. No, Osama bin Laden wanted to blow up the Twin Towers and he blew up the Twin Towers. Like, so Osama bin Laden did it. Now, you guys want to go into the conspiracy theory. You're saying Osama bin Laden did not blow up the Twin Towers.
Totally, dude. Totally. Osama bin Laden from a cave in Afghanistan ran the entire operation.
The hijackers.
That's totally what happened. Osama bin Laden, who was a CIA asset.
So the hijackers
I'm sure.
The hijackers weren't.
No. 9/11 was an inside job. Who knows all the different parties responsible? It's probably just like the assassination of JFK. It was probably a bunch of different parties that have interest in it. And it did exactly what it was intended to do with you, to get you to support regime change in the Middle East, to get you to support never-ending wars in the Middle East. And you sit here and you admit it was all a bad idea, and yet you're ready and willing to jump into another one as if you're denying your own ideology and your own belief system.
You're putting words in my mouth, right? Osama bin Laden blew up the Twin Towers, right?
Now, so you do believe the official narrative?
Yes, but
okay,
I believe the official narrative is the CIA was involved in a bunch of shady shit, including regime changes and getting and
Wait,
meddling.
hold on a second. Hold on a second.
meddling.
No, time out. Do you think planes took down the Twin Towers?
Yes, the planes took down the Twin Towers. You know how I know that, Owen? How old are you, Owen?
I'm 35.
You're 35. I'm 40, so I'm 5 years older than you. I think you're a little too young to remember it, but I remember it like it was yesterday.
I don't need to remember it. I can go look at videotape. It's clearly a controlled demolition. I don't have propaganda brain. I have reasonable, logical thinking brain, and I can watch videos and see a controlled demolition.
I know
clearly there were explosives in all three of those buildings, and that's why they fell straight down like a controlled demolition.
So I know people that were
accept that reality with your own eyes, then you have propaganda brain, and anything else you say should be completely discounted because you cannot think for yourself.
You're going off of videotape. I'm going off of actual memory, right? I know people who were in New York City that watched planes fly into the fucking buildings, dude. So
did I ever deny a plane flew into the building? Talk about putting words in the mouth. Did I ever deny that?
You just said, do I think planes took out the Twin Towers?
Yeah, they didn't. Demolition did.
Well,
planes flew into the buildings.
So
that was a distraction.
So planes flew into the buildings, and then you're saying that there was a controlled demolition after, and it was all pre-planned, right?
100%.
Okay. While there may be some truth to the Tower 7 controlled demolition. Hold on. Bro, I don't speak in absolutes unless I can prove it, and you can't fucking prove it.
Dude, it's literally a building. And then it's a controlled demolition. What other proof do you need?
It looks
do you need do you want the building to send you a little letter like, hey, somebody blew me up? Like, what else do you want?
This is the difference between critical thinkers and conspiracy theorists. I don't speak in absolutes unless I can prove it. It looks like a controlled demolition in Tower 7. All right.
Okay, that's I'm glad we can sacrifice that. Great.
Now, if I could cut in real quick, Alan was raising his hand. I think he has a pertinent question. Sure. Alan, go ahead.
Sorry, I muted myself. I'm going to be 54 soon, and I watched it. So I can just for the sake of argument, I have never ever seen anybody. But you can't deny that it's a controlled implosion. I mean, none of them. Okay,
so
they fall right in on their footprint, man. Like these are massive structures, right?
Yeah,
massive structures, and they fall directly on your imprint after getting struck by something on one of the sides.
I have a theory on that.
If they would have fallen from the planes, there would have been a fall towards the impact side of the plane, right? Okay,
sure.
So they falling straight down. That's a controlled thing.
I think that I have a theory on that, and you guys can, either scoff at it or not. But I have a theory that there is controlled demolition was pre-made into the structure in case there was ever anything that would happen, and they blew it up because they figured if it falls down, it's going to take out more people.
That's exactly what Larry Silverstein said afterwards. Lucky Larry, he said,
there was just such terrible loss of life, so we made the decision to pull the building, and
it makes sense, but like I said,
totally, it totally makes sense.
Well, it makes a lot. It makes
sitting in a building that pedestrians are in every day. Totally makes
a lot. Well, it makes a lot more sense than putting controlled demolitions into a building that has hundreds of thousands of people in it without anybody knowing.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all because they did it for what reason? Again, trillions of dollars in the Middle East, multiple regime changes in the Middle East. That's why they did it. And guess what? Now they got a nice little convenient spy grid to spy on everything you do here too and fill you up at the airport.
Can I ask you something? How would they get all of that controlled demolition explosive into the building without anybody knowing it? Unless it was already there.
I don't know, but that's much more believable that it was already there and just waiting to be exploded. Just explosives, just thousands of explosives in the Trade Center every day when pedestrians are walking around. But hold on a second. We're getting a little off track here. I'd like to get back to the subject at hand, okay?
Sure.
And I think that we need to focus on the issue, which is the relation between the United States of America and Israel. That's the debate. Again, if Israel wants to attack Iran and take out what they claim is their nuclear capability, which I think is a lie, they've been telling us since 1985 that Iran was moments away from a nuke, and it's never happened. I think Israel is blowing up the evidence right now because they know it's not. They know it's not true. And Israel, which you could argue has the best intelligence network in the world, so good that they can penetrate Hamas and give them pagers to blow them up, so good that they can penetrate Iran, build a drone base, and do targeted strikes on military leaders, but they can't give us any evidence, not a single scintilla of evidence of any proof of nukes, even though they've been telling us since 1985. I don't believe that for one single second. It is the same thing as Iraq. They just switched it to Iran. They switched weapons of mass destruction to nukes. They switched Saddam to Khomeini. It's the exact same playbook. And because people like you still fall for it, they're going to do it again.
Yeah, I'm not falling for anything. What I'm saying is that if Iran has been close to building a nuke for this many years, right? It's
40.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's because they've been trying to build a nuke for this long, and they're fucking I don't know, they're just bad at it.
Okay, so they can't build a nuke. So then what are we doing? So if they can't build a nuke, then what are we doing?
All right, so they have nuclear facilities with nuclear enrichment, right? And it's basically like, okay, let me put it to you this way. All right, if somebody has all of the materials in their house to build a bomb in their house, right? And let's say they just start saying a bunch of shit like, you know what? I want to blow up, I don't know, my neighbor's house, right? Like they're tweeting about it. They're calling their neighbor the Great Satan. And they got all the materials that they can to build a bomb in their house. The neighbor might be inclined to call the cops and be like, I don't think they should have the materials to build that bomb because they seem a little crazy. And I'm afraid they're going to blow up my fucking house, right? And that's all that I think that most logical people are saying is, I don't care if it takes them 20 years or 20 minutes. I don't want them to have the capability to build the fucking bomb.
What do you have to enrich uranium to get a nuclear weapon like they're saying? Do you know?
No, not off the top of my head. So
it's probably about 60%. Give or take 60%. You could maybe start getting at 30% at the lowest. Now, when they blew up allegedly, when they blew up the uranium enrichment facilities, Israel said that there was no fallout. There was no nuclear fallout. Do you realize that's literally impossible to be at 30%, especially 60%, and have no nuclear fallout after blowing up a facility? That's literally impossible. So I guess they had nothing, or is Israel lying?
Okay, but Khomeini has come out and said and tweeted that he's like, if America can have a nuclear weapon, why can't we?
Okay, well, you didn't answer the question, but I'm okay with that logic. Why does Israel get nukes and the Samson option, but Iran doesn't? How do you think Iran feels about that?
They've shown a pattern of behavior that they're a responsible nation that can have nukes.
No. Don't play this game. Don't play that, because Iran doesn't care. Do you think Iran falls for that and says, "Oh, Israel's so much better than us; they can have nukes"?
Making a logical fallacy and like a false equivalency for Israel and Iran is a ridiculous statement. It's like, why can Israel have it, but not Iran? Why can we have nukes but not Iran? Right? It's why is it that America can have nukes?
You don't think that's a fair question?
I think it's a stupid question to say that the people who literally chant death to America and the ideology that is responsible.
I don't want Iran to have a nuke. So straw man me here. But Iran looks at Israel that hates their guts, wants regime change, and they have nukes. Do you think Iran is going to sit there and say, "Fine, we'll never have nukes"? Of course not.
Sure, I understand that Iran wants nukes, right? And I think that we're both in agreement that they shouldn't have them. So the argument here is you don't think that they can, so you don't think that anything should be done, right? And what's your evidence of that?
What's your evidence that they have nukes?
Because they keep on fucking telling us that they're enriching uranium. They're saying it. It's not like
they say they want nuclear power for their country. Now, you may not believe that, but again, if you believe they're enriching uranium, at least 30 to 60%, then there would be nuclear fallout when they bombed the enrichment facilities, and they claim there is none. So where is it?
The country that's filled with oil wants to switch to nuclear power, right?
Why wouldn't they? Everybody should.
They want to switch to nuclear power, even though it would be more costly.
If I could step in for just a second, move the debate along a little bit. This debate is clearly about America's interest, the cost benefit. Why should America go to war? Zach, could you just tell us, what do you think the cost would be to America in going to war? And what do you think the expense would be? What do you think we would have to do? How many troops on the ground? What weaponry are we giving? And then what's the cost to America, both in money and in terms of American lives? What are you willing to sacrifice?
This is a great question, and I've been very clear about this, and I think I might surprise Owen here, right? I don't want a single American soldier's boot to touch the ground in Iran. All right. I don't want them to touch ground in Israel either. And they don't need us to. Right. Now, let's start off, if I can, real quick with the benefits of our relationship with Israel up until this point. Right. First of all, you have all these people that say, oh, the $350 billion in foreign aid. It's like, okay, the indirect spending, over an 11-year period, there was a net positive for America based on that offset our foreign aid to Israel of about $1 billion a year, right? Not a lot, but that's enough. And then we have the strategic intelligence sharing operations. We have all this other stuff that we can go into, but let's just go from a selfish monetary capitalist fucking viewpoint. We make money off of our relationship with Israel because we sell them weapons. Now, what do I want us to do?
And that's why they call us the Great Satan. Yeah, go ahead.
So I want us to sell Israel weapons to win their war. But I do think that we have a vested interest in making sure that Iran, under its current leadership, right? The IRGC, the Iranian leadership right now is an evil regime that hates Israel and hates America. Now, the solution that Owen has is, I don't care because they'll just be replaced by somebody else and they will also hate America. Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, what we have in front of us is a terrorist regime, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism around the world. And as I stated, in the past 50 years, we have over 66,000 terrorist attacks from this ideology. And I think that it's pertinent to get in front of that and go, okay, these people are bad news. We should at least stop these people. And then, yeah, sure. If they have a regime change and it's just as bad, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But at least right now, we need to stop these people from doing the bad things that they clearly want to do and have alluded to. But so to answer your question, sorry for that long-winded. To answer your question, the cost to America, I think, would be low because we would be selling weapons. And I think that it wouldn't be like Ukraine. You just give them money. I want us to sell them weapons, and I want us to provide air support and any type of aerial support as long as it doesn't put an American soldier's life in danger. That's what I think it should be.
And you don't think that would have any blowback from the people that you claim hate America and want to kill Americans?
What are they going to do?
Oh, okay.
Like,
perfect. So then we don't need to get involved then.
No, but I'm saying
we won't do anything either way. Beautiful. Right, so I'm glad that we reached that conclusion.
No, but if we go bomb their fucking nuclear facilities, what are they going to do? Like, tell me.
I don't know. Ask Israel.
What capability?
Why don't you ask Israel what they're going to do? Why don't you ask the people that are living in bomb shelters right now?
They just fired like a barrage on Israel, and there was only 11 casualties. So
according to what? You don't know that.
There was 11. That's what the reports are. I mean,
okay, great. So you're okay with 11 people dying?
No, I'm not okay with it. I'm saying
no, you justified it. You said it's good.
I'm saying that if Iran fires all of their artillery at a country the size of New Jersey and can only take out 11 people, what are we worried about? We should go over there.
I agree. We shouldn't be worried about Iran. Thank you. Now you see it my way. Exactly. We shouldn't be worried about Iran. It shouldn't be our issue. I'm glad that we've reached this conclusion. But see, why don't you seem to care about the Israeli people? They're living in bunkers right now because of what Netanyahu did in Iran. They're literally living in bunkers with air raid sirens going off. Is that the life you want for Israel?
They're not living in bunkers. I know plenty of people in Israel. My friend was in his apartment while they were going off. They moved to the shelters temporarily. Then they go right back to their apartment.
It's great life.
And you know what? That's the funny thing. You say that like it doesn't prove my point. They're constantly having to move to shelters and air raid sirens going off because they are constantly being attacked by I'm going to say by proxy, Iran, right? Iran is constantly trying to kill.
Yeah, Israel does nothing. Israel does nothing. You know, the state of Israel has killed more people in the Middle East than any other country in the Middle East in the last 50 years.
How the fuck are you even getting to that logic? What's that? Where's your source?
Well, you've got minimum 50,000 in Palestine, maybe 100.
You're taking the numbers from the
not to mention the wars in Syria, the wars in Jordan, the wars in Lebanon, the wars.
How are they responsible for the war in Syria or the war in Jordan?
What are you talking about? They just got the regime change they wanted. Now they have an Israel-friendly president who's willing to engage in their war in Iran. Assad wasn't, so they overthrew him, and now they got a new one.
Oh, so Assad,
tens of thousands of people died in the process.
Again, you stub your toe, you'd blame Israel. Israel's
What are you
direct.
blame Israel? We're having a conversation here, dude.
Israel's direct conflict is with Hamas and the Palestinians. Okay, that's the only conflict that you can.
Oh yeah,
count
right.
the deaths in.
They just struck Iran. They've struck Jordan.
Well, yeah,
they've struck Lebanon.
Well,
give me a break, dude.
On.
What world do you live in?
Lebanon, Jordan, and the surrounding areas are all firing rockets into Israel. Right? That's why they have
so
that
it looks
Iron
like
Dome.
Israeli leadership does a great job with peace, doesn't it?
Are you saying that they shouldn't fire back when surrounding
When did
Arab
I say
nations
that?
fire?
I'm saying I don't want anything to do with any of these psychotics.
Well,
They're all psychotics. All of them. All they do is fight all the damn time. They're always firing rockets at one another. I want nothing to do with them. It's time to get out of there. All they know is death and chaos and destruction. And now it's coming to our country. Now it's coming to our homeland. And yes, every time we get involved in another Israeli war, the threat against the United States ramps up. I want nothing to do with any of it. Any of it.
Yeah, that's a coward approach, man. It really is.
Oh, it's an America first approach is what it is. Why don't you go to Israel, coward? Oh, I'm a coward. Go sign up for the IDF, tough guy. Go sign up. Go be like Caitlyn Jenner. At least Caitlyn Jenner dresses up like a woman and goes over to Israel with the support. Why don't you go over there, buddy? Come on, tough guy. Come on, big tough guy. Go over there and fight. Put on the fatigues. Go fight, tough guy. You're so tough.
You're just soft, bro. You're just soft.
You think that
America? You're like, I don't want us to get into a war because I'm scared. We won't be. America used to be feared and respected around the world. Why do you think so little of America and our military that we would be scared?
I'm the one that thinks little of it. You're the one that wants to use it for foreign entanglements. But I think little of it.
Entanglements. I want to use it.
How many more Americans do you want to die in the Middle East? How many more?
I just told you none.
Okay, so then we don't get involved. Do you get that or not?
What do you mean? Why? Why wouldn't we? They chant death to America.
So you want America involved. You can't make up your mind, bro.
How many attacks in the name of Islam have there been on American soil this year? Just the big ones.
I don't know, 10?
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it is more than that. But, I mean, we just go with the ones on the headlines. You just had the guy that was, like, holding 2 Molotov cocktails and fucking throwing them at Jews in an
illegal alien who came in here because of a bad open border policy.
And what was his ideology? His ideology was radical Islamic terrorism, right?
Okay, cool. What? What's your point?
You had the in the New Orleans, you had the guy that strapped the ISIS.
What is your point? What does this have to do with the Iran war?
This is about that ideology and how they want to come to America.
Oh yeah. How many Muslims are there on the planet?
Billions.
Yeah, you think they all want to kill Americans?
Not all of them. Enough of them.
Thank you. That's good.
All right, so
I'm glad you admit that.
That's a good point. If it's 10%, if it's only 10%, which it's more, it's a lot more. But if it's only 10%, that's 200 million. That's 200 million people that want to cut
you're distracting. I'm not denying that Islam is not compatible with the West, and I don't like the fact that we've imported all of these radical jihadis. Do you know why they came here? Because we blew the hell out of their countries. Because we got involved with Israel and we blew the hell out of their countries, and now they're coming here. That's why they're here. Because they've been relocated because we destroyed their country.
Why did they go? Why did they go to Europe then and do the same thing? Why is it always our fault and Israel's fault everywhere they go? So you look at Germany, you look at the rape statistics that have gone through the roof. You look at the UK, you look at the rape gangs and the fucking stabbings that are happening. You look at Russia.
Yeah, why are they there?
You look at Russia with the bomb. Russia's like buddy with Iran, but they still go over there and they fucking shoot up a fucking concert hall. Dude, you don't get it. Iran is Iran is the number one state sponsor of terrorism, and we have terrorists here because Iran is creating more terrorists, and we should stop Iran from creating fucking terrorists. I don't understand why you don't see the fucking.
Why are they here? What Iran terrorists are here?
It must be our fault, right? It's always our fault and Israel's fault. It's never the actual fucking Muslims who do terrorist shit's fault. These are
straw man arguments.
You're creating a straw man argument.
No, I've not said any of those things. We had bad open border policy that brought radical Islamic in here. There's probably terror cells in here, and because of the wars in the Middle East, radical jihadists that hate us because we blew up their homes and relocated them that were never compatible with the West now live in Europe and now live in the United States of America. If their homes weren't blown up, they wouldn't be here.
When there's nobody else over there intervening, they blow up each other. They shoot each other.
I agree. I want nothing to do with it. Thank you. Amen.
Dude,
Stop it.
It's like cancer that's going to spread whether you get out or not.
Why does it spread?
Dude,
we don't have to let it all in. We don't have to do with any of it. We can totally decouple.
Decoupling and isolationism. That sounds really great.
Isolationism. Here comes the next one. Here comes the next talking point. Let's go.
It sounds really great on paper, but when you just let your enemies just go run around and fucking do their own thing, and you go, I'm out of it, they start conspiring against you. They grow and they fortify, and then they come over here. That's exactly how it is. Yeah. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah, we get less involvement in the region, and then they're more inclined.
Look what happened with fucking Hitler. Hitler was an isolationist. How did that work out? They fucking regrouped, and he created.
I was wondering how long it would take to get to the Holocaust, World War II. It actually took longer than I thought. Good job. It only took you 45 minutes.
Okay, so what's your solution? Your solution is get out of the Middle East, come to America, strengthen our border, and just hope for the best. Is that your solution?
Hope for the best. What does that even mean? Hope for the best.
Because we have plenty of them here, right? We already have terror cells here. Okay,
so deport them all.
Yeah. Okay. It's like I said, you're just saying words that like, oh yeah, in this utopian scenario, which doesn't actually work pragmatically in reality. You're saying, okay, get everybody out of there, right? By the way, that would also kill our trade, our resources, and all the fucking relationships that we built over the past, 50 years.
No,
but let's just get out of there. Let's just cut that off, and then
wait a minute. Hang on. Because I'm old and I just want to check on something. You said if we would get all the people out of here, would kill our economy?
It wouldn't kill our economy, but I'm saying we have trade relations with a bunch of nations over there, and we like you said, we have a military bases over there. We have a lot of infrastructure that we've.
I'm just going to point this out because, and here's the thing, because I'm different, but I'm just going to point this out. I'm America only, meaning like if it doesn't actually directly serve us, benefit us in some way, I couldn't give a fuck less about it. Yeah. But I will say this: that we don't need anybody. We're the largest economy in the world. It's a privilege to do business with us, right?
Yeah.
If we just became complete isolationists, we could in about a year just walk around the planet and take over the countries that have collapsed. Because if they don't have our trade, many countries would just collapse. Shit, we could just cut Canada off and wheel our way back up there in about 6 months.
Yeah.
We are the largest economy in the world with the largest military. People should be sucking our dick.
And we have all the resources in the world. And we have every resource we could ever need.
Okay, so you said you're America only, and then you made a statement saying you're America first, right? Where it's like,
oh no, I'm America only. So I'm not debating you. I just want a point of clarification.
Okay,
I'm America only. I'll own that. Okay. I'm America only.
So what I am is I'm America first, right? Where I want any relationship we have with any other nation to benefit America, right?
And how does Israel benefit us?
I just told you we have direct spending and trade. We make more money than we do giving them aid. Yes, we do.
Okay, then let's cut off the aid. I want no more aid.
Yeah, but okay, so I get it. I don't like aid either. But
okay, so great. So no more foreign aid for Israel. Beautiful. We agree with that.
But the aid is
how about for anybody?
The aid. I agree too. We can all agree on that, but that's not our policy, and I don't think we're going to get any administration to change it because that's
the problem.
No, we can agree there. We can 100% agree there. Right? Like I said, I don't like PACs. I don't like aid. I don't like giving money to anybody. I don't think we should. But if you ask me a simple question, I'm going to give you a simple answer. What is the benefit? The money that we get in trade and direct spending does outweigh the money that we give in aid. So that's a net positive for America. So our relationship with them, just from a pure monetary standpoint only, is a net positive. Just monetarily.
Are you including the money that we give them and then they buy American planes and
yeah, I've run the numbers. I did a video on this.
It's a subsidized network. We send them the money and they just send it back. They just basically launder it.
It's not really. I've done a video on this and I broke it down a long time, like months ago. But if you really break down the numbers,
so your argument is that America is financially stabilized by Israel.
No, what I'm saying is that if you have a partnership, like if you have a partnership with anybody, just like in regular business, right? If you're trading product and they're buying product from you, and you're, let's say, giving them discounts, right? So let's call the discounts foreign aid, right? Like you give somebody a coupon code or something like that, and then the amount of money that they bring in through business, there's a net positive at the end of it. You look at the net gain and we have a net gain based on our relationship with Israel. In the past, I think they did it for 11 years. I broke down all these figures.
Well, I don't know where you got your fingers. The U.S. trade deficit with Israel is $7.4 billion, and that's on top of the aid we send them. So we're looking at about a $10 billion deficit with Israel. So it doesn't sound like a good trading partner, actually.
Now look at direct spending. In direct spending, how much do we make? I think it was 11 billion. Sorry, 11 billion. So like I told you at the beginning of this, you just got the number right. It's 10 billion out, 11 billion in, which is
the deficit adds all of this thing. That's an aggregate. We are at a deficit with Israel, and
Either
that's
way.
not even counting the foreign aid. So when we count the foreign aid, we're at least $10 billion, maybe 20 in the hole every year to Israel.
Bilateral trade was 50 billion annually in recent years. You have other, like I said, I'm not gonna try to
we're off base again. This has nothing to do with the war in Iran.
I know you asked me a question.
Nothing to do with.
You asked me a question. What's the benefit of being Israel's ally? And I just told you. And we can't.
And I think here's the realization. Here's the realization that everybody's coming to, and maybe you'll get there, maybe you won't. I don't know. The cost benefit of our relationship with Israel is clearly a cost. The costs clearly outweigh the benefits. It's not even close. They make the United States less safe. We don't even do good trade with them. They don't even give us their intelligence. This whole, we share intelligence. The intelligence is used against us. It's not used for us. It's used against us. And Israel stood down intelligence on September 11th, just like they stood down intelligence on October 7th. So no, it is not a benefit. It is a cost to the American people. And I'm sick and damn tired of paying it. And so is everybody else.
Yeah, you're making a claim that you don't have any facts to back up. I mean, you're just saying words, right? Like there's the medical research, there's the innovation in tech. There's the innovation. Yeah, we can, but there is a benefit.
Exactly. Hold on. That's damn right we could.
We can, like you said, right, have this utopia of America only, where we literally shut our doors and just go, all right, now we're going to get everybody out. And
you're the one saying that. You're the one saying that. I'm talking about
America only.
I am. I would gladly be an isolationist. I'm not saying it's the best policy, but yeah, I gladly would be an isolationist. I'm talking specifically with Israel. This relationship has hurt us greatly. It's hurt our foreign policy. It's hurt our relationship with many of the countries in the Muslim world. And it's hurt us on the global stage because now people think we're evil because we're allied with Israel that just keeps murdering their way through the Middle East.
Yeah, they don't murder. That's the thing.
You're right. You're right.
They're literally surrounded on all sides by people who want to kill them. And
well, whose fault is that? It's not my fault.
It's the people who try to kill them. That's the thing. You keep on trying to blame the victim.
Not my problem.
Okay, but look, here's the deal. The outrage that I see from a lot of people on your side, I don't see in regards to Canada, right? Canada,
I'm not subsidizing Canada like I am Israel. And nobody hates me because of my money going to Canada. There's no countries that are like, oh my gosh, you're supporting Canada. I hate you. I'm going to blow you up. That's only with Israel.
Yeah. But Canada, would you agree that we are literally propping up Canada?
Sure. Cut them off.
So like billions and billions of dollars of American taxpayers' money goes to making sure that stays a country.
Yeah, cut them off.
But you don't, now you're saying in response to me, but I should see on your page and others, Canada, but I see Israel. And now you're saying that the reason
in case you haven't noticed, it's like the biggest topic right now. So I'm talking about it.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're
who's Canada? Hold on a second. Who is Canada trying to get us to go to war with?
Well, I mean, there's a really good argument to be made that Canada's China. There's an argument to be made. There's an argument to be made. Hold on.
Canada wants us to go to war.
Hold on. Can I, if I could finish? I hate when people do the laughy thing without listening to the whole comment. Look, the fentanyl that's coming into this country is being facilitated through Canada, right? Canada and China together in their partnership are killing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of American citizens. Israel isn't, right? They're directly killing our fucking babies, and we don't have any outrage over it. So who's getting us into a war? If we get into a war with China because Donald Trump's finally putting his foot down on this fentanyl crisis, Canada is one of the people that facilitated it. So are they trying to get us into a war? No, but are they going to be responsible? Partially, sure. Yeah, I would say so. My brother died of a fentanyl overdose, by the way. This means a lot to me, and I talk about it. But
you know what? We should probably focus more on our borders and stopping fentanyl than securing Israel's borders then, huh?
Well, I don't, like I said, you say we do that, but I don't think we do. I think that we sell a lot of weapons to them, and I think that we have a good relationship.
Who provided them with the Iron Dome?
Well, they made the Iron Dome, but we helped fund it, and we're going to be benefiting from that technology to protect our own borders.
Great.
That's how a partnership works.
Yeah, that's nice. Now because of our relationship with Israel, people want to strike us. So now we need a dome. Great foreign policy.
People are going to want to strike us regardless of Israel. Israel is a country.
Really? When does it happen? When have we been?
Israel is a country the size of New Jersey, bro.
And they control our Congress.
If you
people are sick of it.
And no, they don't. But you think that little dot on the map is responsible for all the world's problems. I heard that fucking.
When did I say that?
No. I'm saying, well, I'm asking you, do you think that Israel is responsible for all the conflicts in the Middle East, or a lot of the conflicts in the Middle East?
Absolutely, that's true.
So a country the size of New Jersey, right? That little dot is responsible for all that region going around killing all the time.
Yeah, you're not helping your argument here. You're hurting your argument.
It's a nonsense argument. It would be like saying
Thailand. Well, why don't you tell that to Israel's neighbors and see what they say?
That is the most retarded statement. It's kind of like saying there would be no trans people without Thailand because they have ladyboys. It's fucking stupid. It's a dumb argument. Right? Israel is defending itself from people that want to kill them because there's a 3,000-year-old holy war there. Right? That's
cool.
why.
And I want nothing to do with it.
That's cool. You don't have to have anything to do with it, but
really, because you even said it's on our soil now. Is it on our soil?
Based on the Arab hatred for America that's going to exist with.
So it is on our soil.
They're going to hate us with or without Israel.
Exactly. Oh, okay.
In fact,
so it is on our soil, and so the 3,000-year-old holy war is now on our soil because of our involvement in the Middle East.
Well, no, it's because we're a Christian nation. It's not because we're involved. It's because we're a Christian nation. It's 100% because we're a Christian nation.
Really? How long have we been a Christian nation?
Islam is
How long have we been a Christian nation?
Since our founding.
Okay. And when did Islamic terror start hitting America?
There's been terror attacks in America from Islam for the past, I don't know, fucking 60 years, but that's only because they finally figured out how to get over here.
And when was Israel founded?
I don't know.
60 years ago. Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. It's amazing how that math adds up. Thank you for that.
When you have more technology and more resources to get over across the ocean and do shit, yeah, there's more ways to get over here. I mean, bro, like, you're not understanding what I'm saying. These people, right? They hate you. It's a convert or kill death. It's a convert or kill death cult, and they will spread and they will go to any fucking nation that is not Islam and not Sharia law and try to make it Islam and try to make it Sharia law. And your ignorance of thinking that Israel is responsible for that.
So what? What does that have to do with us being involved with Israel?
Israel, like I said, our relationship with Israel is just an allyship based off of a mutually beneficial relationship that we have with many other countries.
Hey, gentlemen, hang on. So is the premise that, it's no matter what, all Muslims bad?
Not all Muslims, all radical Islamists. Yeah. I mean,
what's the difference?
So what's the difference?
Well, there are peaceful Muslims that have to ignore their religious doctrine. There's billions of them.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, how do you tell the difference?
It's very difficult, but I mean, I don't have like a really like direct answer for that. You tell the difference by who's trying to kill people and who's not. And I'm not saying ban all Muslims.
Something you said earlier when Owen was talking about the blowback from the Middle Eastern wars, like, we went to war with Afghanistan. Now there's a bunch of Afghan.
That's our failed leadership that did that. Failed leadership.
There's a bunch of Syrians here. There's a bunch of Somalians here. He mentioned deporting them. I want to be clear. Did you say that you're against deporting all of those people?
I want to deport every illegal immigrant.
So you're okay with millions or however many it is legal Somali, Syrian, Afghan migrants? You think that's good for America?
I think that in America, because we're a Judeo-Christian nation, then you should at least conform to or respect our Judeo-Christian value system, right?
There's no Judeo-Christian value system. That's propaganda. It's a Christian country. It's not Judeo-Christian.
Do you even fucking know what Judeo-Christian means?
It's made up. It's made up.
No,
yeah, it is.
It means It means Old Testament and New Testament, retard. It doesn't mean Jew. It means Old Testament and New Testament. because you just came in with an ignorant statement. So I called you a retard.
Christians believe in the New Testament. Okay, so
Christians
Judeo-Christian values are fake.
Christians believe in both.
Even if you believe that, that's fine. This
Christians
is a Christian nation.
Christians don't just read from the New Testament.
This is
again,
a Christian
retard. Again,
all right, let me break it up for just a second.
How the fuck do you not know this?
Zach, calm down. You said that because we have Judeo-Christian values, you're okay with, I guess, the Somali migrants. When you see a video from like the Mall of America, and you see all these women in burqas walking around the mall, like it's all Muslims walking around the mall, you see that and you think that that's American?
No. Like I said, right, and I'll try not to be rude to Owen right here, but let me explain something.
Oh, you've only called me a fucking retard 10 times. I think it's already gone. So go ahead.
So, Judeo-Christian value system and structure, right, is based off of the Old Testament with the 10 Commandments, which is what inspired our Constitution. You can cross-reference it. To ignore the Old Testament in our country is retarded. All right, it's not a logical argument.
What does that have to do with?
Hold on. So Muslims do not follow that system. So I think that we should not have mosques in America. I think that we should not have any type of Islamic religious practice.
But you don't want to deport the Somali. You want to ban their mosques, but leave the people.
I think that if you're a legal American and you're in America, I'm not going to start saying you can't be here. Right. What I'm saying is you need to assimilate. We need to make assimilation laws.
They're already on the books. That's already part of the process. You have to assimilate.
Sure, but nobody does.
So,
okay.
So just real quick, the ignoring of the Old Testament, thing.
Yeah.
Do you eat shrimp?
Do we what? Yeah.
Do you eat shrimp?
Yes. Yeah.
You ignore the Old Testament too.
You eat pork?
You don't understand the theology.
Oh! Hang on a second.
You don't understand.
Hang on a second. Saying that is wild. Okay, because
okay. So
I understand you. I understand. I just asking a question because that's in the Old Testament, right? If you want,
I've used the argument.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
so you're familiar with how that.
I use it to point out how ridiculous it is, right? You have to understand the actual theology behind the Bible, where he was telling these certain people not to eat shrimp, and that covenant with those people does not apply to people under a different covenant. But we don't need to get into a theological debate today. Right?
No, we don't, because that's false. Actually,
which wasn't even a concept till the 19th century. You can't even find it in 17th century, 18th century text. It doesn't.
It's a concept now. People make up terms, and then
so it wasn't there for 1776. It wasn't there with the founding fathers. Not a single founding father talked about Judeo-Christian values.
The term straw man was made up at a certain point. The term fucking, I don't know, pick a word. It was made up, and then you put it into the English language, and then you use it.
Using straw man as a straw man. That's a first. Wow.
But what I'm saying is, if your argument is it didn't used to be a term and now it's a term, dude. So the term means Old Testament and New combined, and it's a structure system that we, America, used to create our set of rules and laws, right? That inspired them.
It's just wrong.
Just to be clear, Old Testament
argue that's serious, but okay.
Old Testament plus New combined would look very much like Orthodox Jews that go and get communion. You know that, right?
Do you think that Christians only read from the New Testament?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So here's you keep talking to me like I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's kind of funny. But about this topic,
I called this was going to be a 2-on-1 debate, but I don't care.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I'm not debating you. I'm not. I'm trying to get point of clarification because, like you said, these people listen to the Old Testament and others ignore it, and I was pointing out that if you don't like it, that's such an easy argument to make, but yet it's not actual truth. Like there's so much in the Old Testament that is ignored just by you sitting here.
Because you don't understand. There's excerpts from the Old Testament. Hold on, where God is talking to Moses and giving him laws and rules, and there's things about circumcision, and there's all sorts of stuff in the Old Testament. It's not a commandment that applies throughout time. It's specifically tailored for the group of people that he's talking to, like the shrimp thing. Now, what I'm saying is, The Christians,
which is by the way a damnable offense.
It's not though. Let's not do the whole thing right now. Let me just let's just.
We're not doing the whole thing.
Let's just sum this up. All right, Christians, Catholics, Protestants, Christians, all Christians, right? They read from the Old Testament, which is the Torah, all right, or the Tanakh, and the New Testament. They combined them and they take the parts where they are absolute truths that transcend time, like like the Ten Commandments applies to Christians, right? But he gave it to the Jews. Right, so we follow the same laws as
what?
The Jews.
Wait. You said Christians were there for the 10 Commandments now?
No, I said that Moses, with the tablets, with the 10 Commandments that he applied to the Jews, applies to all people throughout time. Shrimp is a completely different thing that's in the Bible. All right, so like they're two completely different things. We follow.
So do you listen to the Old Testament or don't you?
Let me
listen.
you
listen to it properly.
I don't want to get stuck in the
yeah. Let's move along for the theological debate.
To be fair, I think I've thrown like 3 questions at Zach and none at Owen, so I'll toss one Owen's way. Owen, in the Zach scenario where the U.S. keeps all troops out of the war, that miraculously Israel does not need any U.S. intervention to accomplish their goals. Do you see it the same way that you see the war in Iraq, or do you see it the way that Hezbollah versus Israel turned out to be more of a regional conflict?
What we've seen since the first strikes on Iran is that luckily it looks like the world is going to mostly remain neutral or disassociated. Thank God. Because you could easily start drawing battle lines, Pakistan, India, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, everything else. It looks like for right now, they're kind of staying neutral. And I think that's because everybody's kind of try to wait and see what's going on. Another factor would have to be China, considering China gets a third of its oil exports from Iran. But I think China probably figures as long as we're getting our oil from Iran, we don't really care who the leader is. But if they feel like that's threatened, then they could also have a battle line drawn there. Here's what I think about politically. So aside from the geopolitics shakeup of it, that is kind of maybe an unknown factor right now, but is still kind of remaining isolated just between Israel and Iran. Here's to me what will undoubtedly happen with American politics if it goes the way of the Iraq war. If Trump gets us involved in Iran, and whether it's boots in the ground or air support or whatever it is, the Republicans will lose the House in the midterms and they will lose the presidential election in 2028. Just like they did after the Bush years, and you will usher in a Gavin Newsom Cortez ticket because there will be so many MAGA people that are disenfranchised and pissed off with another foreign war. They won't vote in the midterms, and they won't vote for a Republican in the general election. So any further involvement in this Israel-Iran conflict will blow up the MAGA coalition. It will blow up the populist leverage that we've gained politically in the last 10 years, and it will deliver power right back to the Democrat Party in 2 years and then the White House in 4 years.
Okay. And in the scenario where the U.S. stays out of it and it just stays regional, something like Hezbollah versus Israel, where Israel was able to handle it, the U.S. didn't get involved. Do you look at it the same way, or do you look at it like maybe if it stays regional and the U.S. stays out of it, that it doesn't have blowback both onto the U.S. in terms of terrorism and onto the Republican Party and the MAGA coalition politically?
I think we've already crossed that threshold. I think there was a chance that you could keep it all toned down and you could isolate it into the specific region, but not anymore. I think now with the strikes continuing to go back and forth, whatever is going to happen in Tehran in the next 24 hours after the warning was issued by Trump, I don't think you can keep it isolated now. Now, I have hopes that Trump can keep us out of this conflict, but right now it's a complete disaster. This is really the worst Trump has looked probably since COVID or January 6th. And Netanyahu has addressed our nation 3 times. 3 times we've been addressed by Netanyahu in front of an Israeli flag, not once from President Trump. So Netanyahu is now controlling the narrative. It does not look good. I don't understand. I think I understand why Trump isn't talking, because he knows his base doesn't want this. He knows he's hearing the blowback. That's why he lashed out at America First. That's why he lashed out at Tucker Carlson, because he knows his base doesn't want it. But now he might be in too deep. Maybe he already decided we're going in. And so it's not a good look. So I would say it can't be isolated now. It's going to get worse for Israel. It's going to get worse for Iran. And regime change is inevitable somewhere. It might happen in Israel, and that would probably be the best for the region. It might also happen in Iran, and that would be great for the Iranian people. Either way, my argument is the same. The United States of America needs to stay out of it and decouple with the Middle East until they can figure their shit out. They've been warring and whoring for 3,000 years. I'm out. America is out. It's time to make America great, put America first, and leave all this nonsense behind. We tried to fix it. We never did. It's time to get out.
Zach, I'm sure you want to respond, but let me get one more question to Owen, and then I think it'll level out the amount I've asked you both. Sure. Owen, Trump warned Iran 60 days prior to Israel hitting them, and then Israel struck. So he had advanced knowledge of what was going to happen. It looks like his warning today, evacuate Iran, that he knows what's going to happen next. So if this all goes forward, do you lay it all at Trump's feet, or is there any possibility to you that there is nothing he could have done to stop Netanyahu? Do you think the same thing would have happened if Kamala was president? And what more do you think Trump could have done to prevent any type of conflict that already kicked off while Biden was president?
Well, it's hard to say what would have happened if Kamala was president. So I hope you don't get mad. I'm going to pass at that. Since it's not a reality, thank God. I think it's going to be hard for Trump to not take some of the blame, and I think he kind of did it to himself by accepting that he greenlit whatever Netanyahu was going to do. But again, I think that I don't understand why President Trump feels any loyalties to Netanyahu. He stabbed Trump in the back in 2020. Trump, in the 2016 campaign and really since the 1990s, has been calling Benjamin Netanyahu a liar. This is all on record. It's all on video. It's his own words. So I don't understand what changed in that dynamic that all of a sudden Netanyahu is dictating the terms of the U.S.-Israel relations. But I would say if Trump wanted to stop it, if he wanted to stop it, I don't think it would be that hard. I think he would tell Netanyahu, if you strike Iran, all your funding is cut. And you won't see a single dollar from the United States, and you will no longer get any military support from the United States either. And I think that would stop Netanyahu. I think it already did stop him previously, but then Netanyahu said, okay, after the 60 days, I'll strike. I want to think that Trump wanted to go back to the negotiating table, and Netanyahu undermined him with the strikes anyway, and now the gravity of that is just going to bring us in. I don't know. Trump isn't telling us anything. We're only hearing from Netanyahu. But I don't think Trump wanted this war, but now it might be too late. Netanyahu might have just drug us into it.
Well, I hope that's not the case. Zach, do you have any rebuttal? We let Owen go for a while. I threw him a bunch of questions. Do you have anything new?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt him. Look, here's the deal. The problem is there's a lot of people looking at this through the lens of the Iraq situation. They're two completely different situations. And if you look at it through the lens of Iraq and George Bush, I would be agreeing with you, right? I would be like, because I don't trust George Bush, right? I based off of Trump's track record of being able to solve conflicts with peace through strength, I think it's going to work the same way here. And everyone keeps on saying war, like it's going to be like the Iraq war. That's not what's going to happen, even if we get involved and call it a war or declare war. I don't think we're going to even get as far as a declaration of war with Iran. I think that's kind of silly. But here's the thing. Israel is our ally, whether you like it or not, and Iran is our enemy, whether you like it or not. You may not agree with that, but that is the position of this country, right? And Trump has always been very diplomatic, and he knows who our enemies are and who our allies are. He knows probably a lot more than me, you, and everyone on this panel. He knows that there's a benefit to having a relationship with Israel. So he's taking the side of Israel. Now, as far as the other nation, I think the NATO allies already came out and said that they were supporting Israel. So I don't know where this notion that Israel is losing support is coming from. You had Syria saying that they were going to intercept any Iranian missiles, right? That's Syria said that.
Yeah, after the regime change that cost a lot of people's lives.
But either way, no, they said it today. As far as any incoming missiles to Israel, Syria is going to intercept them. That was today. That was a proxy war to overthrow Assad so that they could get support for Israel and Syria that they didn't have. It cost tens of thousands of lives. So okay. More death and destruction for Israel. Okay, go ahead. By intercepting these rockets that are going to be firing at Israel, I think what's happening is here. Let me just put it this way, right? Looking at it again look at it through the lens of Trump, not Bush, and understand that this war isn't going to be the war that you think it is, even if it happens to escalate. I don't think that we're going to lose the midterms if we take a stand against Iran. But I do think that if we were to have boots on the ground and dead soldiers coming home in caskets, we would. So I agree with Owen to a certain extent. I just think that he's incredibly naive about how this is actually happening and what's actually going to be conducted in resolving this conflict. Again, you take out the nuclear military facilities, you take out the top leaders, and there are enough people in Iran right now that are just that are tired of the regime that will overthrow it themselves. All it really needs is a push. And Israel, who just took out all of these leaders, again, I got to give Israel credit. Like this is a country the size of New Jersey, and they've taken out, I would say, 85% of Iran's top leaders. And Khamenei is nowhere to be heard from. A lot of people think that he's already dead. If you were to have this regime change, Owen's argument is they would just replace him with somebody just like him. Maybe you're right, but that would give us enough time where they would just be like, not trying to start waves, and they wouldn't just pick up the mantle and immediately start conflicts, where I think that we would actually see I would say a small period of not necessarily peace, but quiet in the Middle East, which could actually benefit us.
Oh, wow. You actually believe that?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I didn't say I believe it. I'm just saying.
I'd say it's a very low possibility. I'd say the best possibility for quiet in the Middle East is a regime change in Israel.
I got a question. I got a question for you, and I really mean this. Like, I want you to answer it honestly. What do you think would happen if Israel just ceased to exist in the Middle East? Like, what are you like? Because I think that what you're coming from a place where Israel seems to be an instigator just by being there. If let's just say, like Alex Jones asked Nick Fuentes, if you were to remove all the Jews off the earth and put them on the moon, do you think that like all the world's problems would go away? And that idiot Nick Fuentes was like, yeah, a lot of them. What do you think would happen if Israel just wasn't there in the Middle East? Not Jews, just the country of Israel.
Well, I don't think it's that simple, but I'll try to answer that question. Let me be a little more specific.
What do you think would happen with Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas, and all of the Iranian proxy terror organizations that are in that region right now that are fighting Israel, or at least mad at Israel? What do you think would happen with them and the Middle East in general in that area?
I think it would be the exact same thing that would happen in Iran if there was a regime change. There would be total chaos. There would be a vacuum for power. There would be bloodshed for weeks, if not months, and then there would be a power struggle in the region until so many people have died that there's a decision. So it would be the exact same thing that I think would happen or did happen in Syria. It happened in Libya. It happened in Iraq. It happened in Afghanistan. It'll happen in Iran, and it would happen in Israel probably the exact same way. Just every regime change issue, every single one ends the exact same way. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just done. America's done.
Hold on. But a follow-up. Right, a follow-up, because you make a very good point there. But do you think that if we were to back out completely, Israel gets decimated, and then there's a power structure, and as you said, a bunch of death and destruction, and I'm assuming it's going to be all over the news. Do you think that would look good? Do you think that a lot of people would actually think that was a good thing that happened? Where you think Trump would get a lot of support for, I would say, being responsible for starting that death and destruction because we pulled out and we just didn't do anything?
Yeah, I would tell you, first of all, really, yeah, the American people wouldn't care.
Really?
Yeah, they really wouldn't. And it actually all depends on media propaganda. How often do we talk about thousands of Christians getting massacred in Nigeria and North Africa? You never hear about it.
I do. I don't hear.
Okay, well, that's fine. You're taking it out. If you watch American news, mainstream news, push notifications, whatever, you never hear about that stuff. So the media still has the propaganda control over the American people about what they care about and what they don't care about. So if they want us to care about something, then we will. If they don't want us to care about something, then we won't.
Have you covered the?
It doesn't even matter who the president is or who gets the blame. It's all about the media propaganda.
Have you covered the 200 Christians that were just slaughtered in Nigeria already?
Yeah, it's been thousands now.
Yeah, thousands. So
should we bomb Nigeria?
Hold on, no. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I'm seeing a lot of people like I don't know, like Candace Owens, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. I'm seeing them a lot of them, those people quiet on it. And I see that there's this outrage over, innocent people that die in Palestine. And it seems like
well, certainly you understand the difference here. Again, we subsidize everything Israel does. So it makes much more it makes much more sense for me. I have every right to be critical of whatever Israel does because my tax dollars subsidize its government.
So I don't care
about any other country like I do Israel.
But you only care about the innocent people that die around the world when we have some sort of monetary connection to it.
Well, again, I could care about innocent people anywhere. There's innocent people that die all over the world. There's slaves in China. There's slaves in Iran. There's slaves in India. I mean, what do you see? So what's your point?
No, but what I'm saying is there's a disproportionate amount of outrage over the Palestinians versus all the other tragedies of the world. And I've come out and I got a lot of heat for this, where I said, I don't care about these dead innocent civilians because, like you just said, it happens all the time. Right?
Well, no. Show me another part of the world that's been completely turned into rubble with 50,000 dead.
Yemen? Fucking dude.
Yemen has been rubble. What are you talking about?
Exactly. It's been rubble. You have thousands, I guess, of little regions in the Middle East that over the past, I don't know, decades have been slaughtered by each other. Right? Like this is the point that I was trying to make to you earlier. If Israel wasn't there, they'd just be killing each other. And you agreed. Thank you. But these people slaughter each other because it's their ideology, right?
So,
it's their ideology is to
square one. So this is why I want nothing to do with it. This is why I want to completely decouple with the region. I don't want anything to do with any of them. Look, this is what it boils down to. The United States of America is $36 trillion in debt, and our interest payment alone is now $1 trillion. We have been getting raped on trade deficit since I've been alive. We have at least 20, maybe 40 million illegal immigrants here, and all kinds of issues stemming from that. We have war zones in our own streets. Decaying infrastructure, homelessness, drug addiction, total chaos. These are the American issues. These are the issues that we should be facing. And yet here we are yet again dealing with the Middle East, dealing with Israel's issues instead of our own. That's the problem. That's what America First is trying to get rid of. That's what we're all about with MAGA. And if we go back into another Israel controlling our foreign policy, it's done. The MAGA coalition is shot. The Republicans will lose the House. They'll lose the 2028 presidential election, and we'll go right back to the Bush years. And you know that's true. You can sit here and say, oh, it's different. I trust Trump. Hey, that's fine. I like Trump more than Bush. But it's going to be the exact same thing. This isn't all about Trump. Trump is one man.
Luckily
this is a repeat of history.
No, luckily
even Trump knows.
Luckily for us, Democrats are still retarded. They're the worst fucking and they haven't gained back.
Republicans are retarded too.
Yeah, well, if you follow the news all the time, but I think the general population, they're gonna ride that Democrats pulling that Kamala move with Biden and everything for at least a few years. But either way, right?
Doesn't matter.
What I'm trying to say is when the people who kill each other and kill their enemies and kill anybody that gets in their way and convert or kill and run to Europe and start raising the rape statistics, and there's rape gangs and stabbing sprees and all this shit, when they hate us and your solution is get out, like basically run away from the fight, get out and lock yourself in your own home and just don't go over there anymore, right? I don't think that you realize is they know where you live and they're going to just come to your home. Like they're going to the fucking dude. Iran does not sponsor all this terrorism because they think it's a fun hobby. You
don't think America sponsors terrorism?
Of course we do, dude. We can get into the
shit that America has done. There's a non-starter there.
It's not a non-starter.
It is a non-starter.
No, whataboutism is an argument. It's a fucking liberal.
I hate that argument. Whataboutism is actually everything. It's the scales of justice. If you can't compare and contrast two things and look for logical equivalency, then you have nothing. So absolutely, I will engage in whataboutism.
If it's a logical equivalency, right, then you're providing context. If it's a false equivalency, it's whataboutism, right? You're like, but what about this? It's like, no.
I got a question for Zach. Zach, you were saying that Republicans are going to turn out even if the MAGA coalition gets fractured from intervention. People vote based on their self-interest. You know, you're crapping on the Democrats, and obviously they deserve it. But what do you think is in people's self-interest to turn out with the same enthusiasm that they had in 2024 for Trump? What would they see in the midterms out of the Republicans that you think they're going to be so motivated to go back to the polls?
So I think that with the people that follow the news 24/7, like me, Owen, and everything like that, we're seeing a lot of divide in the MAGA party based off of the internet. I don't think there is a divide in the MAGA party as a whole. I think it's pretty much contained to, like what I call the woke right and the fucking MAGA right, where it's like there's the Groyper movement and there's the anti-Israel crowd and they're screaming, and yeah, it makes it on the news sometimes. But I think kitchen table issues are still what's at people's forefront. And I think that Trump, while he is devoting a little bit of time to this war in the Middle East, he's juggling so many plates and he's doing a bang up job. He really is doing a fantastic job with shutting down the border. That's what's at people's forefront, right? If you know somebody who died of fentanyl and you see Trump shut down the border, get tough on China, get tough on Canada, and get tough on that crisis, those are the issues that people are going to turn out for. They're going to be like, I like what I'm seeing and I want to see more of it. As far as the war in the Middle East, it's something that we're talking about. It's not something I bring this shit up to my friends who don't follow the news a lot, and they don't really know what's going on, right? They're only seeing the headlines on mainstream media, and on mainstream media, you're going
real quick. By the way, China has warned their citizens in Israel to get out.
Yeah,
in Iran,
in Iran, yeah,
in Iran. I think that. Are you sure? I think they said Israel.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure there's too many Chinese in Israel.
Yeah, there's not that many, but China is also, they're probably just maybe trying to start shit. If that's the case, they're trying to. It might just be like a.
No, Alan was right.
It is. They're telling them. Yeah, they're telling them to get out.
Okay.
Alan was right. I was
wrong.
Sorry, Alan.
So here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many of their citizens are there.
Yeah.
It just.
But
it means that China is now likely getting involved.
Sure.
Let me respond to what Zach just said here, because I actually agree, but my takeaway from it is different. You're right. Nobody's talking about Israel and Iran in average American households. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares. And that's the problem. And that's why the Republicans are going to lose, because this is now their top issue, because this is now this is now their biggest issue. It's the thing they're all focusing on. It's the thing they're all posting about. It's the thing they're all doing TV interviews about. And we all know why. It's because of AIPAC, but that is why the Republicans are going to lose, because nobody's talking about this. You're absolutely right. This is not a kitchen table issue for Americans. It's not a kitchen table issue for Republicans. But if it does come up, they see the same thing. They don't want anything to do with it. They've learned from the Bush years. The Republican voters have already abandoned Bush neocon politics. And if they go right back to it, which, you know what, I'll even say this. Let's just say everything that happens with Israel and Iran is the best thing ever, all above board, great for America. It will not matter, because the reception in the United States is going to be Bush again, neocons again. I'm not going out to vote. That's the reality of the situation. You want to know what's going to get Republicans to win an election? Mass deportations, cutting taxes. Okay. You know what else is going to also, you want to really put it over the top? And this is really where the Trump administration is failing. We need mass arrests. That's what we need. Who stole our 2020 election? Who ran Crossfire Hurricane? Who opened the borders and allowed an invasion into the country? If you want to dominate politically, you need mass arrests of deep state criminals. That's what you need. And here we are, same issue. Israel. No deep state arrests, no tax cuts. That's the problem.
Yeah, I see that. I agree with you. I think that the FBI needs to step it up and do those arrests. But as far as what people are seeing, right? Here's what I think people are seeing. Here's what I think people have seen, and I think people are tired of. I think they're tired of Free Palestine protests. I think they're tired of the guy in New Orleans that drove over the crowd. I think they're tired of the guy with the Molotov cocktails in Colorado. And I think that people are smart enough where they actually understand the ideology behind it. And I think that they put two and two together, and they go, you know what? We have a problem with radical Islam. So I don't think they see a war with, not a war, but a conflict with Iran as necessarily a bad thing, because I think the vast majority of people, I know it's not you, I think the vast majority of people, they look at Israel, they connect Israel with Jews, right? That's what they do. They go, Israel, Jews, right? I think most people do that, actually. And they go, I don't hate Jews, right? So I don't hate Israel. But then they see the from the river to the sea. They see the guy that chanted Free Palestine after he shot a couple that was about to be engaged, and they go, I don't necessarily hate Muslims, but I don't necessarily like this. So when I think of the majority of people who aren't on the internet 24/7 and how they're going to view this conflict, as long as Trump doesn't turn it into a boots on the ground war again. Because I told you, if that happens, you're right. But if he doesn't turn it into a full boots on the ground war, and it's more of like when he killed Qassam Soleimani and al-Baghdadi, and he kind of had that whole, hey, these people fucked around and they found out, I think people are going to give him the same type of credence that they gave him the first time, where they're going to actually support it.
Okay, if it played out like that, I would agree with you. Here's two things. First of all, the average American doesn't associate those protests with Islam or any country in the Middle East. They associate that with liberalism, progressivism, and the Democrat Party. So that's not really helping you there. Here's the problem, which I think I assume, because you said this before. If you have a situation where, let's say, they do a very coordinated small strike and they remove Iran's power and they do a regime change, and let's say that's best for the world, best for the region, whether it's at Netanyahu's behest or not, let's just say that happens. Okay. Well, if there are radical jihadist terror cells already in our country, and you knew that, okay, so then what do you think is going to happen if we remove the Iranian regime? Do you think there will be radical Islamic terror attacks?
Yeah, but do you think?
And then what is going to happen after that?
What do you think they're going to do if we do nothing? What do you think they're waiting for?
Like, hold on, I'm asking you a question. What do you think will happen after there's radical terror attacks in this country?
Well, I think that then we would probably have even more outrage than, and I think
we would go boots on the ground, and it would be the Bush years all over again.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, it really does depend on how big of attack and what the attack is, right? If you have a small terror cell that does something like, blows up a small, like 50 people die or something like that, then I think that they might just call it an isolated incident, and they might try to tie it back to, Iran, and then they would say, hey, we just took out the fucking Iranian leader, so it's not like we're going to go kill him twice. But I don't know.
But someone's going to have to stabilize Iran.
So just as a question about both you guys, Iran has oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why this war is going to happen.
Yeah, we have oil.
Yeah, we do. But Israel, this is almost every war gets fought about resources or religion. This happens to be both. Sure. That's all. And a lot of times resources are used to incentivize the religious people to get done through propaganda, because a lot of this is propaganda. Even I would go argue that the protests that you were talking about, that's propaganda. That's basically propaganda for leftists to our side to try to either incentivize support for one side or the other. I swear it looks like to me the Democratic Party has really tried to inflate this issue between Gaza and Israel, which is a completely different thing.
Sure.
My thing is, we keep acting like we should get involved because they don't like us. I don't know if any of you have traveled the world, but that is not a unique thing to not like America from just the Middle East. France hates us. Spain hates France. They will see you. France, they will hear you talk and pretend they don't speak English when you've just heard them speak English.
Sure.
I mean, and that's no shit, right?
I don't think it's about
all around the world. We are fairly hated by people in Beirut, in Lebanon, everywhere. So if we're worried about terrorists from Iran, we should just wipe out everybody, right?
No, I don't think it's about who doesn't like us. I think it's about who is a threat to us. I think a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran leads to a nuclear detonation.
I know they have one. There is no evidence they have one. Like there was no evidence of weapons of mass destruction.
There is evidence that by their own admission that they're enriching uranium, and you think it's for nuclear power, right?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. That's the Second Amendment argument. If they have something, they might use it against us.
They don't have a Second Amendment. It's
the concept of self-defense.
It's the concept. Yes, it's the concept of self-defense.
If they have self-defense, they're Iranian,
and they don't care if self-defense. So you understand it's a fair game.
And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if either of them have self-defense, because they're not my fucking country.
Sure. Look. Here's the deal. I don't have any loyalty to the Israeli government. Okay, none whatsoever. I don't know how.
Okay.
I don't even know their government.
That's an interesting submission.
I've
into your debate.
I've said this over and over and over again, right? And everybody just thinks that I have some loyalty to the Israeli government because I don't know that there's some.
Yeah, because you defend them every single day.
No, look, I'm anti-terrorist. I'm anti-radical Islam, right? And they are fighting the people that I am against, right? If it was fucking like Scotland, I would be like, yeah, I hope Scotland fucks up Iran.
Just right back to the debate. When all of a sudden did you decide to be against Islam?
9/11.
A lie. What? A total lie.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. Like, dude.
So you believe the official narrative of 9/11. So there's your problem, bro. So there's your problem. You're stuck in a propaganda loop.
Okay.
You love American propaganda. You love Israeli propaganda.
Hang on a second. We can also use 9/11.
We can discount 9/11. We can
use it as a point where that's not a nuclear weapon, but we went to war over that too.
Sure.
So do we just wipe out everybody in the world that says death to America? Do we just go around from country to country in the Middle East and wipe them all out? I mean, do we visit some islands in the Mediterranean too, where they chant it? Like that's my thing, man. I don't want to it's favoritism with American lives, right? Because us being involved in any war where somebody did not directly poke us in the fucking eye, attack one of our ships, attack the homeland, hold American hostages. If anybody does any of those things, we should make their fucking entire country a parking lot. But until then, we should sit our fucking happy asses at home and tell the rest of the fucking world to pay their goddamn tariffs so we can stop paying taxes. Like, that's how we should get to. You know what I mean?
Okay, but look, here's the deal. Discount 9/11, okay? Just take it right off the board, right? As I told you.
You're the one that said that's where your entire ideology comes from.
Let me finish, right? You said, when did it start, right? It started there because as a 15-year-old kid, I saw the World Trade Centers come down. I do believe that the people who were on the planes were fucking Muslims, right? And I believe that Osama bin Laden told those Muslims to fly planes into the World Trade Centers. Now, if you want to get into who is really behind it and who moved the chess pieces around, I don't care, right? But
why don't you care?
Because they did it, okay? If somebody
who is they?
The Al Qaeda, the fucking Osama bin Laden.
You said earlier on the show that the CIA was involved.
I said no. What I said was there's evidence that there was regime changes and involvement in the CIA and fucking did this and did that. But either way, right?
Your entire argument is falling apart because your foundation is built on sand. Yes, it is. This is where your foundation falls apart. You can't decide whether you believe in 9/11 or not because you know it's obviously bullcrap. But yet your entire argument foundation is based off of it. So you kind of have to play both sides.
No, I don't. What I'm saying
what you're doing right now.
What I'm saying is if you discount 9/11, you still have over 66,000 terror attacks from radical Islam in the past 50 years.
When did it start?
Hold on. You have in 1970. I'm saying from 1975 to 2025, there have been over 66,000.
So after we built and funded Israel, okay.
It doesn't matter, bro. They're doing it.
You keep saying it doesn't matter. What do you mean? Who decides what matters and what not?
But you keep on going, why? Look, I'm like, hey, this is happening. Okay. So if you say, why do black people steal? Right? Does it negate the fact that they steal? And I'm not saying all of them do. What I'm saying is there's that talking point, right? That black people steal. That's a popular woke right talking point. Okay. When you say why, right, you got to now try to get into the psychology of what happened and who was really responsible for it.
No, you don't.
Exactly. You don't, right? If you see the action taking place and you can put the actor to the action, then you can say, all right, these are the bad actors, right? Now, I'm not saying all Muslims, but radical Islamic terrorists, right? Radical Islamic terrorists, people that espouse the ideology of Islam and chant death to America, those people are responsible for 66,000 terror attacks over the past 50 years. So when you say why, I don't care because there's 66,000 of them, right? I just want to stop them.
The why doesn't matter. So let's not investigate anything. Let's not investigate why autism is skyrocketing. Let's not investigate why there's poor people. No. Hold on. It's my time to talk. It's my time to talk. It's my time to talk. If you're not willing to investigate the why, then just shut up. Just admit you're a surface level propaganda consumer and let's just move on from this debate. Because if you're not willing to investigate the why, then you're worthless here. Let me explain the why. Our media after 9/11 told us exactly what they want you to repeat like a parrot. Radical Islam, radical Islam, radical Islam. Well, let me tell you the two people that benefited from September 11th, the military-industrial complex and Israel. That is undeniable. Now, if you go into the Muslim world, what are they hearing about 9/11? Do you think they're hearing about radical Islam? Do you think they're hearing about Osama bin Laden? No, because they know it's stupid. Because they know Osama bin Laden from a cave in Afghanistan did not orchestrate 2 planes flying into the Twin Towers by himself. They don't deal with the propaganda we deal with and say they don't believe that nonsense. But nonetheless, what is the aftermath?
Okay, what
now,
if it was America?
Don't interrupt him. He didn't interrupt you.
He did.
Now, America goes into the Middle East, destroys Afghanistan, destroys Iraq. All of these people are misplaced, and now the same sentiment that these people have for Israel, they now have for America. So yes, they want to go on jihad against us because they believe we destroyed their way of life. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want anyone in that region to hate us anymore. I don't want anyone in that region to be subsidized with us anymore. And it all comes back right to the same point. That's the point.
No, the point is they're going to want to kill you regardless, right? And now you think a country the size, like what, 16, 15 million people?
I thought you didn't deal in absolutes. Now you can say for sure they want to kill me. They want to kill you, Owen.
Well, no, I can say for sure they chant death to America, right? That's
and they do in Austin, Texas. So let's go nuke it.
It's a false equivalency. Look, here's the deal.
It's the exact same equivalency.
You want to find out the why, right? But by
no, I just explained the why.
No, you explained your opinion on the why, right? Which is you can have that opinion, but saying it as fact is it's a theory.
You say you don't even care about the why. So what's your why? You don't even think about it. You can't even think beyond the surface.
What I'm saying is if I can see the action, right, then all right, fine. I care about the why, but it takes a back seat. Is that better? It takes a back seat because when you have a pattern of behavior from a people group, right? And that people group has the ability to make a nuclear weapon. And that people group has given us plenty of reason to believe them when they say, we hate you. I personally think it's a pragmatic approach to go, okay, then you can't have a nuclear weapon. That's what I'm saying. So
so that's fine. So why doesn't that logic apply to Israel then?
Because they don't want to kill us. Like that's the
say that to the Muslim world.
What do you mean? So Israel chants death to America? Israel is
no. I'm saying there are plenty of countries around the world and plenty of Muslims around the world that Israelis hate and that they would glad to see killed. You yourself said you don't care how many dead children are in Palestine. So you don't think the Islamic world sees that and says, oh, maybe Israel shouldn't have a nuke?
Sure. I mean, if I said that, I misspoke. I said I'm okay. I said I'm okay with civilian casualties as long as that civilian casualty ends the war and more people and saves more people in the long run. Same thing we did with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Same thing they did with Operation Gomorrah with the Allies in World War II. When you
so see, this is why you're woke, right? Because now you have to defend death. Now you are forced to defend death, just like the woke left does. So keep going. Keep defending death.
I'm not a snowflake liberal that just lives in this fucking world of...
No, but you're defending death, so go ahead. Keep defending it. You want more death? Go ahead.
All right, let's break it up. Gentlemen, to your corners. And I want to wrap up a couple of threads that we've had going throughout this thing that maybe there'll be points on both sides. Who knows? One thing, Zach, you said the CIA was involved in 9/11.
I said I don't know.
Okay, well, it's not in doubt. Michael Springman worked for the U.S. government. To do my little Alex Jones voice, it's many sources have shown that the U.S. government was involved in 9/11. And the missing pages of the 9/11 report that only got released after Trump took office the first time, it showed that the Saudi government knew what was going on too. So you have the Bush administration, the Saudi government. The Saudis, I don't know if you know, they've been allies with Israel for decades. The neocons in Bush's administration, very, very closely, they work with Israel. So the idea that Israel had no idea about 9/11, it doesn't really wash with the other players involved and who was behind 9/11. And then for Owen, just to try and put Zach's argument maybe in a finer point, Patrick Bet-David was making the point the other day that, the date you both keep putting on where a lot of these terror attacks coming from, it's not actually the date of the creation of Israel. It's the time when the new regime took over in Iran from the Shah, and that they have been very radical. Do you cry for the regime in Iran? Should they be replaced, Owen?
I would, first of all, my baseline is it's not my problem. It's not my problem. That's my baseline. And I don't subsidize Iran like I subsidize Israel. Now, having said that, by the way, this is true for Netanyahu. The Iranian government is not popular. Netanyahu's approval rating is 30% right now. Netanyahu needs this war so he can stay in power. He knows he'll never win another election. He's lost popularity. The Orthodox Jews are about to totally turn against him. He's losing the support from the Knesset. So Netanyahu is a desperate man. He's failed everywhere. He's failed to defeat Hamas. He's failed to take the Gaza Strip. He's failed to save the hostages. So now he's trying to get a victory in Israel to secure his political power yet again. Why do I say that? Because the same situation is in Iran. Their leadership is very unpopular. They don't have a very high approval rating amongst their people. Sure, would their people like to see a regime change? Probably, but it's not my problem. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want a single tax dollar going towards it. I don't want a single piece of military equipment going towards it. And I certainly have already seen what happens when it does. And I'm not insane, and I'm not going to repeat the same process.
Yep, I think that makes sense.
You said that like it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the U.S. was involved in 9/11 too, right? So
I did not say that, but
no,
okay. I would say yeah, probably.
Okay, so you both say yeah, right? So why don't you just leave America? Because I mean, your argument for getting out of the Middle East.
Why don't you go to Israel? Like, what is that?
Your argument is anybody who's responsible for 9/11 we shouldn't trust. So we shouldn't trust our own government. Which
I don't
trust George W.
Which we shouldn't.
Just real quick, dude. You trust the government?
No, I just said which we shouldn't. Right? We should never trust the government. But here's the thing: the whole not.
But you trust the 9/11 theory, okay?
It's not that. Look, you are obsessed with 9/11, and it's so funny that you're obsessed with 9/11.
You said your whole worldview was based on September 10th.
No, I didn't. I said that you said when did it start, and I said 9/11. Right?
And I said congrats. It worked on you.
That is not my entire worldview against the radical Islamic fucking terrorist ideology. I've also looked at their behavior over the past fucking 20-something years, and it's backed up my theory on 9/11. So that's why I said the 9/11 thing doesn't matter, because they're also terrorists doing terrorist shit, and they haven't stopped doing terrorist shit since I don't know, since
and Abraham, that's why we need to decouple from the region. Hold on. Why we have to decouple from the region. And by the way, our government is way too big anyway. We shouldn't even have funds to send in Israel.
Absolutely not.
Out of control. Here's the deal. The not my problem thing, right? The isolationist argument. It is a September 10th mentality, which I think that we are very dangerously flirting with, where if we take your route of just decouple, get out, come back here, and then we have that big terrorist, and then we have that big terrorist event, you're going to get that thing that scenario that you just said, where you're going to have the same terrorist cells that you're afraid of, like, going off if we take out Iran. They're also going to go off if we just decouple and leave. So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, as far as the attacks, because they're going to say, "Oh, Iran just decoupled from the whole Middle East. Now we lost out on all that trade. We lost out on all the negotiations. We're gonna."
So who's going to attack? What are you talking about?
There's already terrorist cells in this country, right? That is a fact that is reported by the FBI and Homeland Security, right? Many, and they haven't been able to track them, right? So if we were to decouple and become complete isolationists, right? You don't think that you think the terrorists are just going to go, "Hey guys, they left, so we're leaving too"? No, they're going to start fucking blowing shit.
Hold on a second. Okay, so the percentage of a radical Islamic terror attack in America goes down significantly if we do not get involved more in the Middle East.
Because you think that they care? Oh my God, dude! They want.
But then by your argument, they're going to commit the terror no matter what.
Correct, because they're terrorists.
So then, what's the point of
But that's the thing, man. If they're going to commit the terror no matter what, then there's, whether we isolate or not.
Exactly.
Like, why spend the money?
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. As far as hypothetical scenario,
we don't even need to isolate, dude. We just need to close our borders and make the rest of the world bow.
Yeah,
because we're the largest. Because what? What'd you say?
But we also need to make it very clear that the number one state sponsor of radical Islamic terrorism does not have a nuclear weapon. And just saying they don't, it's not good enough.
You keep saying
America, the American government.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's a threat to us, and I don't think anybody's serious.
Yeah, that's what they thought on September 10th. On September 10th, they go, they're not a threat.
Which was a lie. Yeah. So again, you keep going back to September 11th, which you admit was a lie.
Your opinion is it's a lie. I said that Osama bin Laden is responsible for the 9/11 terror attacks.
Would it surprise you if there was a certain person that predicted include the entire thing, including the name Osama bin Laden, well before it happened?
Are you about to say the Netanyahu interview on that late night show?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, that's one. No. So yeah, Netanyahu somehow knew it was coming too.
He was
well before describing like the event.
Predictions are funny because I can make a prediction right now. There's going to be a terrorist attack in America on American soil. I can say that, right? And I can
but if you pre-name the terrorist that is going to be taking control, I'm going to wonder what the fuck's in your email, bro.
No, but you could also just be guessing based off of their pattern of behavior. I could say there's going to be an ISIS attack in America on American soil this year, and then in January you got the guy that has the ISIS flag that runs over the people in New Orleans. Is that a real big stretch? I could say that Khomeini is going to activate one of his Iranian terror cells here, and they're going to blow up a building. Right? Is it really? If that actually happens, the odds really weren't that crazy. Right? I mean, maybe they were 50-1, maybe they were 100-1, maybe they were 1,000-1, but it's definitely not 1,000,000. So predicting terrorist attacks from terrorists, it's not the craziest thing to me.
Oh boy.
Do you think America is very responsible for Israel staying safe and sovereign in that part of the world? Right? You do believe that?
Yes, I think that we help.
I agree. So I agree.
I think that they can survive without us.
Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't push back on that. So America has done a lot to maintain Israel's sovereignty. What has Israel done to maintain our sovereignty? Did they come down to the border? Did they send IDF troops to the border to stop the invasion? Did they send troops here to help us deport people?
That was under Biden. He wouldn't have let them. But they sent people to the California wildfires. They've sent a lot of they help us with technology. They do a lot of stuff with us. And it's not like they just sit there. Like I said, the California wildfires, they sent, I don't remember the number, but a bunch of Israeli firefighters over here to help out because we're an ally. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, a lot of people from over the world did, but that's not the question. The point is that the IDF and the Israeli military does nothing to support our sovereignty, and we do everything to support theirs. This relationship is not balanced, and it's costing us more than the benefits. That's what America has realized.
I think, like I said, I think that after this debate, I think you should go look up the figures on direct spending versus foreign aid and trade.
And so what does trade have to do with us subsidizing Israel? That doesn't give me a good excuse to subsidize Israel.
We already went over this. If there is a net gain for America, we're not subsidizing. Right? We sell them.
Yeah, you are. What are you crazy?
We sell them the vast majority of their weapons. We don't just give
them. With our money, they buy it with our money.
Yeah, but no, they don't though. They're it's like, this is I know the economics.
That's like saying Planned Parenthood doesn't use tax dollars for abortions. That's a joke.
Yeah. All right. Look, like I said,
does America loan Israel money? Do we loan them money?
I believe there are loans. Yes, and
I know that loans. We have a contract with Israel. They get free money from us. We've literally subsidized their entire existence
in trade for. And look,
we're not talking about trade. This is foreign aid. It rhymes with trade, but it's foreign aid.
But if you look at it in a holistic approach, right? All of the money, right? You take all of the money, every dollar, right? Here's the aid, here's the loans, here's the spending, here's the technology, here's what we gave you, here's what we gave you. If you break that all down, then we are the benefactor of our relationship with Israel. They don't make money off of us. We make money off of them.
So you know what? Fine, whatever. The numbers debate, we're not going to work. So let's just put it into simple, basic logic. Mm-hmm. Which country would be better off without the other? Do you think the United States of America would be okay without Israel? Do you think Israel would be okay with the United States of America? Where do you think that dynamic stands?
Sure. I mean, I would say they probably benefit by having us as an ally. We're the most powerful nation in the world, of course.
Okay, so you admit that it's the cost benefit. It's way more costly for us. Israel benefits way more than we benefit. Okay, I'm glad we admit that.
No,
Thank
not
you.
monetarily, no. Right, but the benefit of having the big swinging dick having your back is huge because
now Israel's the big swinging dick. A minute ago they were New Jersey.
No, we are.
Okay, exactly. So we don't need them.
We don't necessarily need them, but you don't need allies. You make allies, right? You don't need to do this at all. You don't need to be. We don't need to be in a trade relationship with China. We don't need to be.
Unfortunately, we do, but
we don't. We could literally just do the same fucking thing. We could go, fuck you, China, no more China.
Brilliant. Right? That's exactly the point. So now you're an isolationist.
No, I'm saying we could. But there is.
I agree. Now that would take some time because we got sold out by our Congress that shipped all of our jobs over there, and now they control the rare earth minerals. Sure, but yeah, you're right. In about a year or two, we could bring all of that back, and we wouldn't need China.
I think that economically we should be as isolated as possible. Economically, right? I think
guys, we're getting somewhere.
No, but like I said, you think that we're so far off on each other. We're not. We probably agree on a lot.
No, right. I'm just glad that I'm winning this debate clearly.
You can everybody who ever says I'm winning the debate is probably either losing the debate or it's pretty even.
Let me tell you something. As an even moderator, the argument you're making for economics, it'd be like if America said, "Hey, Brazil, we're going to give you $10 billion to buy Teslas from us," and then we talked about the benefit Brazil gives us for buying our Teslas. Like we gave them the money. And that's what you're touting is like the benefit of Israel. Is like they're spending the money we gave them in our country. Like we gave them the money. We could build anything and give the money to anybody to buy it. Like, that's not really a great relationship.
Economics is extremely complicated, right? And especially it is. It really is. And and people always try to simplify it and dumb it down to we give them the thing and then they buy the thing. It's like it's
people always do that. They may
look at
kind of what it is. But,
look at what actual economists are saying, and you're gonna have many of them that are gonna come out and tell you
what is the difference? What's the difference between actual economists and economists?
Well, people who I don't know, like an economist.
Agree with you.
Okay, no, just go to it. You're gonna have. And by the way, you're going to have economists that say that we don't have the benefit. Then you're going to have economists say that we do have the benefit. You're going to have people say that we shouldn't be.
So they're all actual economists, then, right?
I don't think I've ever seen a single economist say that we benefit financially from Israel. I don't believe I've ever seen that once.
Okay, I mean, I'll ask Grok. But
something else you should look up after the debate. You told Owen to look something up. You should look up what Alan was referencing earlier, the great prediction made by Alex Jones of InfoWars that Owen works with, that Owen is a host for. He predicted months ahead of 9/11 that there would be an attack on the World Trade Center, that it would be blamed on Osama bin Laden. That is such a specific attack, such a specific time frame. It's not random. It's incredibly impressive. And when you look into how he was able to predict that, is inarguable that the CIA, the Bush
didn't they already fly a plane
other foreign powers? It was in the 9/11 Commission report pages that had been taken out that the Saudis were involved. The Saudis, the Bushes, these are allies with Israel. You need to look deeper into geopolitics. You said you didn't care that much about the why, but if you're going to go out in public and speak, you should really know a little bit more.
Oh yeah, you're a fair moderator. Alex Jones said that a plane was going to hit the World Trade Center after a plane hit the World Trade Center. He
said before.
Now you're wrong, but whatever.
Before it happened.
It's on video.
He said it before the 93 attack?
No, before the 2001 attack, just a couple of months before.
And after the other attack. There was already a plane that hit the World Trade Center. Saying another plane's going to hit it.
There was a bomb in 93. It wasn't a plane that hit in 93.
Let me reframe this. Let me reframe this a little bit to explain how powerful the propaganda is, because I just don't think you actually respect how powerful it is. They convinced America that a plane hit the Pentagon without a single plane part, not an engine, not a fuselage, not a wing, nothing. And they convinced you that a plane hit it. That's how powerful the propaganda is that we're dealing with. So you better realize the same people are running the same propaganda right now against Iran.
Okay. Well, you asked me if there are any economists that say that we have a net positive relationship from our relationship with Israel's Zvi Exene on studies on Israel monetary policy. indirectly supports the idea of economic stability benefiting the U.S. trade through Israel resilient economy. Doesn't necessarily qualify it as a net positive relationship, but it alludes to it.
Of course not. It's not even taking advantage.
That's just one.
So nice try.
That's just one, and I'm sure you'll find others. But either way, I just wanted to give you that because I said I was going to look it up.
Prove my point, but okay.
It didn't, but okay. Like I said, after the debate, you can go look it up. But
when you need to do your research, you don't know what you're talking about.
This is like when I go out to the protest and they're like, "You don't follow the news."
No, so I figured that when I came on, because you guys know each other and you don't know me, that it was gonna kind of be like a team up thing, and I think we're kind of proving that.
I've been incredibly fair.
Well, you just told me I need to learn about geopolitics, and
you said that a plane hit the World Trade Center.
This is the exact argument. You're a fucking moderator. Shut the fuck up and keep your opinions to yourself.
Oh wow!
Actually, he's fact checking you. You got something wrong, like you did in the entire night. So really, he was a fair moderator. You just got everything wrong. He was just trying to help you.
You said a plane hit the World Trade Center in '93. It was a bomb in the basement. No plane hit the World Trade Center. So this
is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to go. People like Zach here are going to fall for the propaganda, and we're going to go right into the Bush years. It's just like I said. It's the exact same thing. Either you believe your lying government and you believe the geopolitical lies that we've been told our whole life, or you don't. You still believe them. The rest of us have moved on, and you will see it's not going back. It's not going back. Any involvement we have with Iran, it's over. The Republicans will lose the House. They'll lose the presidential election. And people like you will still sit there and play tiddlywinks with the Republican Party and the mainstream media thinking it's all good. And you'll be left behind. And you'll say, well, golly gee, what happened? How did the Democrats get back in power? Because you fell for the same crap again.
My bad. It was the Empire State Building. Yeah. No, I agree.
Real quick, guys.
Just
real quick.
Go ahead, Alan.
I've seen this video. I get kudos.
Oh, that's great.
Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, he's the boogeyman they need. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun, or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, he's the boogeyman they need. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
That's just one of them.
So he's saying it's America, not Israel, right? So he said the American government.
He said Israel was involved too.
He also said that Macron
Iran is now the boogeyman. No, that's what we're saying.
I love Alex Jones. I'm a big fan of Alex Jones, but he also said that Macron had a giant bag of Coke when it was a napkin, like on the table. So he gets some things wrong. He does get some things wrong every once in a while, but I do like it.
But not that though.
I don't know, man.
But not that.
No, you guys always. This is the problem with trying to. You don't
know if there was a terrorist attack on September 11th.
No, you try to pin me down and again get me to agree with your narrative when I don't, and I'm not going to. Right?
That's the thing, man. Like you keep saying that, but like this is really when you moderate something. I'm honestly just trying to get clarity. But that was just a factual thing, right? Like it's either you're going to believe that I just showed you a fake video that Tucker Carlson.
Alex Jones predicted it. There are
he predicted 9/11.
Sure, yeah, he predicted 9/11 happening. Yeah.
How did he do that?
I don't know. But say like you that's the thing. You got to tell like how did he predict it? Is it at all
because I will tell you, it's a script and they're going off the exact script again. And that's what I'm trying to warn us about. That's what I'm trying to stop Trump from doing, which he knows. He knows. He called it all out.
Is there any possibility, even a small possibility, that you're wrong?
About what?
About this whole Iran thing. Like it's a script. Is there even a little possibility that you are actually wrong?
No
possibility. So people who speak in absolutes like that should not be taken seriously.
That's a Star Wars quote.
You literally think there's no possibility that you could be wrong. No.
About what? What are you talking about? We're already involved in Iran. They're already striking. I'm already right.
You're saying that it's a script, and I'm assuming you mean
of course it's a script.
Yeah, so the CIA is involved, and this is just a giant psyop. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So there's no possibility.
Welcome to the world.
So there's no possibility that Iran just is a terrorist-like group that wants to take out America with a nuclear weapon.
That's a straw man. That's not the point. The point is they're going after the same script. And every single regime that Netanyahu has lobbied for Congress to overthrow, he has gotten. And now we're to Iran.
Okay.
I will say, I hope that the Trump administration is saying we're not at war, we're not going to war, and I think to Owen's point, the reason they're doing that is because it is not good for Republicans politically. It is not good for Trump politically for us to be involved in another war. It would take away at least some level of support from Republicans. And that in and of itself is bad for America. We have mass deportations that we need to do. We have a lot of the deep state that we need to clean up. Losing any amount of power, even if it's just the House of Representatives, would be very, very bad right now. So
I think it would be a good time for closing statements. I think it's probably a good time. I'll make my closing statement first. He can go last. I will say this. As I said, if we get involved in another war in Iran, and if it's boots in the ground, absolutely this will be true. If it's like nuanced of just our military or just aerial support, whatever, it'll still be the same result. We'll go back to Bush era politics. Republicans will lose the House, and then they'll lose the presidential election in 2028. We've already been through this road. We've already seen the playbook. I'm not going to play that game again. The MAGA coalition will be fractured. And you can debate the merits of going into Iran, and you can debate the merits of the relationship we have with Israel. The result will be the same. The result will be the exact same. And here's the issue. And this is why it's going to be so catastrophic for the Republican Party. The MAGA base is now a populist movement, which you may not like if you're a conservative, but nonetheless, it has all the political momentum and it has all the political leverage right now. It took us 10 years to get here, and now we are here. And it's going to be the Republican Party that sabotages the whole thing. Everybody's talking about Israel and Iran. Why? Because it's Israel's issue and we're attached at the hip to Israel. We should be talking about mass deportations. We should be talking about investigating who's funding and organizing these riots on our streets. We should be talking about who stole the 2020 election and how. We should be talking about who ran Operation Crossfire Hurricane in a coup against President Trump. We should be talking about who ran the auto pen in a treasonous act against this country. We should be talking about who opened the borders for an invasion of 10 to 20 million people. And we should be cutting taxes, and we should be addressing the trade deficit. And now here we are again, putting Israel's priorities first above America's, and it will destroy the MAGA coalition if we go down this road. We can still turn it around. We've had a bad car accident. We're at the intersection, and MAGA has had a bad car accident, but we can still heal this up and turn it around. But if we get involved in regime change in Iran, and if this war expands, MAGA coalition shattered, Republicans lose the House, Democrats win in 2028. Mark my words.
Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, I think that Owen's given a lot more credit to this base that he thinks is the base than it actually is, right? The America First movement, an anti-Israel movement, it's incredibly small, right? Trump is MAGA, right? And the base is 77 million people that voted for him. Then the vast majority of these people don't follow politics as closely as we do. And while there may be a split on the X platforms where there's all these people that are we got to get rid of Israel, we got to decouple from Israel, blah, blah, blah. The vast majority of people, they don't care about it. They just see it on the news. And it's not as big of a threat as he would think it is, as far as just the support goes. Now, I do agree with him. If there is a boots on the ground incursion into any country, wars are always bad for presidents. Wars will definitely lose the midterms. He's going to be president for 4 years regardless. So I hope that there is not boots on the ground. As I stated earlier, when I'm responding to somebody who says you want to go to war, and I go, yeah, I might be trolling them. I don't want a full out war. I don't even want a war at all. I don't want any type of real war with Iran, but I do want America to make it very clear, even if that means through support, force, or supplies, that Iran is not having a nuclear weapon, period, point blank, no more fucking discussion. And I don't think that we need to decouple from the Middle East or get out of there to do that, because we've already set up all these structures over there, and all of this, these trades and these relationships, you can't just pull the fucking pin. I think that would be worse. And I think that would actually destroy Trump's legacy a lot worse than maybe a conflict that lasts for a couple of months, and we hope it does. As far as the conspiracies and all the people want to know about the 2020 election and shit like that, I do. I'm right there with you. I want to know about the Epstein files, the 9/11, blah, blah, blah. I want to know all of it. But most people, the vast majority of real people that really just kitchen table people, they've moved on. They don't give a fuck about conspiracy theories. They really don't. And that's, I think, where a lot of these people are confused. They think that their obsession, I would call it an obsession with this obsession with Israel is what most people are thinking about. What people are thinking about, as we did talk about, as Owen agrees with me on, people are thinking about the border. They're thinking about fentanyl. They're thinking about taxes. They're thinking about how they can put food on their table. They're thinking about jobs. They're thinking about their kids' college. And I think that a lot of people do see a lot of the conflict that's going on here and a lot of the divide that's happened over the Israel-Palestine conflict. And I would say that the vast majority of people that aren't in that little base that he thinks is, I think they're on Israel's side. I think that people are smart and they understand that a terrorist organization slaughtered, raped, murdered, and killed 1,200 people. Israel's doing what any country would do. If they did it to us, we'd fucking destroy them. If they did it to fucking even somebody that we didn't like that much, if something like that happened to fucking Russia, I think that we would probably say, yeah, Russia has a right to go over there and fuck them up. But that being said, here's my close. We are an ally of Israel, and you guys got to get on board with that. And it's not going to end anytime soon. We've always been an ally, and we are an enemy with Iran. That's not going to end soon, and you got to get on board with that, period.
And that's the issue right there. We're done being told what we have to do, and you're wrong about Israel's support. And I'll just say this. Look around you. The big, beautiful bill, massive military spending, getting rid of the budget and setting up the biggest surveillance state in the history of America, combined with the giant army recruitment ad that we just saw this weekend for the 250th anniversary. Look around you, dude. They're getting ready.
Not a fan of big bills either. We'll agree on that too.
I want to thank Owen. I want to thank Zach for coming on. There'd be no debate without both of you. So I think it was a fun debate, interesting. We crushed it from that aspect. I don't want to put my thumb on the scale too much, but I'll say I think I was a pretty fair moderator. And the only thing I will say is this whole debate about blowing up the MAGA coalition and everything being focused on Israel first, it wouldn't be the biggest debate in the world if the Trump administration was delivering every single where else that they promised. As Owen pointed out, we're not getting the mass deportations that were promised. Stephen Miller is working on it, but then Trump makes a statement saying that we're going to leave the workers at the farms and the hotels alone. I don't know if that's a statement just to get Rand Paul's vote or what it is, but that is not what he promised us. Even the first time around, he promised lock her up. We want to see arrest of the deep state.
Promise no new wars.
He did promise no wars. And the other thing, if there is a path where Israel does their goal and America's not involved, that this thin line, this is what Trump is aiming for. Okay, that's what you're aiming for, Trump, where Israel is allowed to do its business and America's not involved. If he wants to keep the MAGA coalition together and that's how he wants to frame the Middle East, he has to deliver mass deportations, arrests in the deep state, firings of all the people that were put in by the Biden administration, the Obama administration. We are not getting everything that we were promised. If he wants to deliver for the American people and get wins in 2026, he has to deliver everywhere else around to make up for the fact that we were told there's not going to be a big focus on war in this administration. Anyway, thank you both for coming on. I hope you don't feel we were too biased, Zach.
No, you're good, man. Look, and I wasn't trying to be too much of a dick. It's just you guys all know each other, and I'm the new guy, so I would have expected it, and I think you did pretty good.
All right, well, welcome, Zach, the new guy, and if you've never seen us before, Jewcast. Yes, we've had Owen on before. We've had Laura Loomer. We've had Jason Whitlock, one of our finest episodes. David Cole, the guy who actually did a lot of the investigation into the Holocaust. The world's #1 Holocaust revisionist, David Cole, we've had on the show. It's very interesting talk. He's a funny guy. Yeah. And if you want to check us out, you go on Twitter, just type in the search bar, Jewcast, scroll around, you'll find episodes. We're on YouTube, and we repost to band.video, everybody's favorite website. So thank you guys for both coming on.
Real quick, right before I go, just even though it got a little heated, just want to say really appreciate you coming on, and I respect you, and thank you very much.
I agree. Political debate and discussion is necessary for this 100%. Country. We have to be able to do it and then break bread afterwards if we're going to come together and save America. So I'm glad we were able to do this tonight.
Thank you.
Amen. A message of peace. And as far as more political debates, I have challenged Myron Gaines. He sounded scared. He walked away. I have challenged Nick Fuentes for 7 years. I've challenged Stu Peters, who I actually debated once, and he deleted it afterwards because he lost so bad. But anybody that wants to come up, you want to talk JQ, you want to talk the Holocaust, anything. Let's have more discussion. I think it's good for America. Come on the Jewcast. Let's do this more, people.
All right, guys. Peace.
All right, thank you guys very much. Appreciate all of you guys. Thank you very much.